Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room, who is sponsored by Games and Couples, which is part of Oshrat Online Counseling Services. They do couple counseling utilizing a lot of board game as a tool to help couples come together and kind of deal with issues or just spend good quality time together. Yep. So I really like what they do. Be sure to check them out. We'll have their link down below. And we are doing our top 100, me and my friend Travis, and we are in the top 50.
Wait, what?
It's the good stuff.
Nice. Finally, get rid of all that garbage back there.
You know, I got posted on one of the Facebook posts I put on there because I was like, I kind of feel bad for like my 200 to 100 because they're really good games. And then somebody shared a video of the IKEA lamp that got discarded. Yeah. And I was like, it doesn't have feelings.
What are you thinking about? It's old. It's not, the new one's much better. And these games are much better.
Yes, so my 200 to 100s do not feel bad. It's just me feels bad for them because they are also good. But these are really good now. We're in the really good stuff.
Totally. And you know what? All of your other games are going to get mentioned in your podcast at some point in time, I'm sure.
We talk about a lot of games, for sure.
Because you guys do top 9s all the time?
Yeah, so with the Board Game Specialist podcast, we do. Do you know why we do top 9s and not top 10?
Because I don't know. Why?
It's because I do the sorting on Pub Meeple.
Okay.
And then you can click on a button to get a 9x9 picture. And I wanted the 9x9 picture.
There you go. I was going to say, maybe your like first ever list, you were like, man, I only have 9 that I've played.
Although that did also happen.
Sure.
We did our top 9 pirate game, which was my suggestion.
Yeah.
And I hadn't played 9 pirates game. I had to go buy a few.
Should like rush through a couple.
I went to the store and bought 2.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, I would have had Pop-Up Pirate on there, and I didn't want to have
What's wrong with Pop-Up Pirate?
It's flawed.
Man, I know somebody just recently did a top 10 or top 5 best boards in the thing, and I really wanted to see Mousetrap on their list.
Oh, geez,
because Mousetrap was a great board, and it was neat. And I mean, it's not amazing like these ones nowadays.
I mean, it has table presence.
I tell you, like you put Mousetrap up, and I'm gonna come.
People will look. Yeah,
for sure. I'll come sit down. Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Right, so let's get started. I guess.
Let's get started. Travis, what is your number 50?
Well.
Oh, hold on. Maybe click on it because I think we're just.
I'm learning this
technical difficulty here. Okay, try that.
There we go. There we go. I should have pre-tested this, but I don't do that.
You know, we did it every other episode.
Yeah, so why even start now, right? Okay, so my number 50, I've played, guess how many times, Mel?
2 times?
Once. So I played it once and immediately
loved it. Wow.
Went looking for it.
Nice.
And I haven't played it since. But
you have some games though you just know.
Yeah. I know I like this, and it's good. It's a lighter game.
Okay.
It has themes around like some stuff that like our family members love. So we like to go hiking. We have relatives who live out in Banff, and they just spend all their time out in the wilderness and stuff like that.
I think I know where we're going.
Well, you have to, right? I mean, I mentioned Banff. So unfortunately, Banff isn't part of this game, but hopefully they make a Canadian edition of Parks.
Yes.
Sometime. But yeah, so this is Parks. It's my number 50. I played it one time and it made my top 50. That's how much it just appealed to me. So
let's see what let's see the appeal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
it's a pretty game.
Yeah, the artwork's just beautiful and it's just great. So in Parks, what you're doing, and you might have to help me out a little bit here.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you're walking along a trail.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got 2 hikers each. So 2 meeple in your own color. And you start at the beginning on the far left. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of these tiles, these kind of boomerang shaped tiles there. And they're all different areas that you're going to go to. So you might go to the river, you might go to the mountains, you might go to wherever. And when you put your meeple on that, or when you put your hiker on that, if you're the first person there, you're going to gain an extra resource, and then you're going to gain the resource that's on the bottom of the card as well.
Yeah.
So you might collect a couple of sun or a couple of water or a couple of mountain. And there's trees as well. And the goal is you're trying to, by the end of your hike, you'll end up at the final thing, and then you'll spend these resources to purchase one of the park cards at the top. So you can see that they might take 4 water or 2 mountain and 2 sun or whatever to purchase these cards, and those score points for you. And the neat thing about it is it's one of those games where you're going to move your meeple, but you can never go backwards.
Yeah, you could go as far forward as you want.
Yeah, you could go to the you could skip the whole trail if you wanted to, if you really wanted and you had the resources, but you never would.
Well, because being the first one at the end kind of gives you control of what you get to pick there.
For sure, yeah. You get to choose the first part.
Benefits.
Or you can reserve, like you can...
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple different actions at the end. But yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to move along the trail, and the next person's going to go and they're going to move, but they can only move to an unoccupied space unless they flip their little campfire token.
Yeah.
So everybody has a campfire token that allows once per journey.
We're antisocial unless there's a campfire there.
Yeah, unless there's a campfire to share. So once per journey, and that includes if you want to land on the same spot as you, because remember, you have 2 workers.
Right.
So if you want to land on your own spot, you still have to flip that campfire because you're sharing it with other campers or hikers. So yeah, so you're going along, and you can get all kinds of different bonuses. You can buy these little canteen cards, which are those ones in the middle that give you some kind of a special power.
Yeah.
But to activate them, you have to fill your canteen. So when you land on a water spot, instead of taking the resource water, you can use that resource on your canteen to make it so you can use that special one-time power until you can refill the canteen again.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're walking along the path, just picking up resources, looking at all the pretty park cards, and you get to the end and you can either reserve a card, you can get the first player token and claim a card, I think it is, or there's something else you can do at the end. I can't remember what it is offhand, but yeah, it's just great. And I mean, all the little bits are little wooden chunky bits that just look great, and I like those. So,
and you can't see them there, but they're also like the animal bits, and they have like all different kinds. Like they're all different kinds.
And
of
they're
animals.
a wild token, so the animal can be used for anything. So, but yeah, like there's probably 30 different meeples in there that are totally different animals. Like every single one's a different animal.
And then you get to be like, oh, I could use. No, I'm not giving up my little beaver.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. This is for sure a pretty game.
And it's so light and
very
so
light.
simple. Like, I mean, maybe I'm overestimating it. I feel like it's a very simple game. Like you could teach it to just about anybody. Like your parents could come in, your grandparents could come, and you could probably teach them enough to, like, because you're just walking along.
Yeah, it's just very simple. Resources. Yeah. The one drawback I had with that one, the first time I played, I won by a lot.
Okay.
And I think it's because
that's just the worst. I hate it when that happens.
Well, it makes me feel bad because I'm worried they won't play again.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, and then Patrick, when he was little, was a really sore loser. So if you like, it's like, so I want them to, like, I don't care if I win or lose, I want to play.
Yeah.
But if I win by so much and they don't refuse to play again, that's not a win.
Yeah.
But I won by so much, and luckily it wasn't with my family, so it didn't matter as much. But I was like, okay, did we do something wrong?
Sure.
But I had just trailed along the back so much that everybody had finished their trail. I'm just like, well, do one here, and then one here, and then one here.
And you do have to be careful, because if you trail behind too far and the other people get there, your next move is to the end.
No, it's true. Well, as if, but not if you still have.
No, you still have to move them both. You can't. I don't think you're allowed to. I think once.
Well, that's what. Either we were doing that wrong, but then I reread the rule book and it sounded like you could, and I was like,
maybe okay. So
that seems wrong.
When we played it, that was a thing, because that's
okay. So then
my very first turn. I was like, well, I'm just gonna leapfrog.
And that just seemed like it gave you a really bad unfair advantage, and that's what happened. And it was just like that can't be right.
I think the deal is that once the last of somebody else's guy is done,
but I think it's
your
like,
next move is to the end.
If you have both, you're the both of the last one.
I think if it's your color, I'm not sure though.
Yeah, because if you're playing a 2-player, and I think it was like, so you got to be careful not to allow that to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so it was just So either we played it wrong, which is highly possible, because most of the time I play a game one time, we play it wrong first.
Yep.
Then we go and play it right after. But
unless it was more fun when we played it wrong, and then we just play it that way.
Yeah.
Because you know what, guys? Like, for me, I don't care if I play the rules right or wrong.
As long as everybody plays the same way.
As long as we play the same and as long as we have a good time, who cares? And I think most developers and designers and stuff like that would be fine with that too. Like,
well, it's not like they're going to be coming to my house and stopping me.
Well, maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
Rennie
Her
Panitia
address
is going to come to
No,
it's a tiny village.
Yeah,
Just
I
ask
guess you're
anybody.
finding it. But yeah, no. Like, I mean.
But yeah, so that was the one flaw. And then I was like, okay, was it that we played it wrong, or was it? And then kind of went and was like, it could happen that way. But anyways, so double check that rule again. I want to double check that rule again.
Sure.
And if it is that way, it might be best that it can't be that way.
And now, did you say you've only played it once?
No, I've played it a few times.
So now, have you ever played it with the Nightfall expansion, I think it's called?
I don't do expansions.
Oh, see, and I heard that the Nightfall expansion kind of adds just enough to make it a little chunky.
Okay.
To, like, for the gamers more.
See, to me, is if I wanted a game chunkier, I would just go play a chunkier game.
Yeah.
Than to tweak an existing game, because
sure,
that's kind of my feel on it. Well, and I guess like if I was going to be playing one game again and again and again and again, maybe I would be more concerned about expansion. But being that I obviously don't do that, not all that concerned about expansions.
Yeah. But I mean, if you own it and you're getting a little stale with it, I would give the Nightfall thing, because I've heard it's really, really good. So
yeah, if you play your game more than 4 times.
And I like this because it's kind of that Tokaido feel.
Yeah.
But I didn't care for Tokaido.
I've never played Tokaido, but it is kind of a zen, relaxing game.
It's just a calm, smooth. Yeah.
You can take pictures.
Totally. Yeah. You have to take pictures because that's how you score points.
Picture. Yeah. I had a lot of pictures.
But yeah. So like, I mean, my number 50, Parks.
Yeah.
Great little game.
Pretty.
Anybody can play it. You don't need the super deluxe edition because I don't think there's any real difference except for the sleeve on the outside of the box.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My number 50 is another one that is a very light, easy to get to the table, great entry-level game. And in fact, I played this one with my son, my oldest, Jerome, and he was not wanting to play. And I was like, give this one a try. Sure. And then after we played, he's like, this one is really good.
Okay.
I know. And that's Splendor.
Oh, there you go. Splendor.
So first of all, the components are going to win you over because you have these nice, big, chunky poker chips.
Yeah.
That are just so fun to clink together and play. And there's just like, there's something about that.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple game because on your turn, you will draw poker chips or you will spend them to purchase a card. Yeah. And they each have a different gem, and then each card needs a certain combination of gems to be able to be acquired. But when you get the card, then you have that gem permanently. So then we're like, okay, well, now I always have a diamond, so I can buy this one. It requires 2 diamond and 2 rubies, but I can use 1, so I only need 1 diamond. And you build that up as you go. It's simple. It is so simple. It's perfect information. Everybody sees what everybody has. Yep. Everybody has access to the same thing. And it's kind of a race. You're trying to get the first one to get to 16 points because the easiest one won't necessarily give you points, but they'll give you access to permanent gems. Yep. Then when you get to the second level ones, those are going to start being worth points. Then you get the third level ones, which are going to be worth a lot of points, but you're going to need like 12 gems in order to be able to purchase that. So you can't start there. You really got to build yourself up.
Yeah.
It is so neat, so satisfying. I've played the Marvel one that had the Infinity Stones one.
Oh, okay.
It was really cool as well, but similar.
Did it change it much? Or?
Yeah, it added a whole different thing to it. So not enough that I think I would go out of my way to own both.
Okay.
But if you were going to pick, I might have gone Marvel.
Sure.
Just for that extra little
the bit of theme.
And then you could also just ignore it and just play Marvel as regular Splendor.
Oh,
if you really wanted
like an
to.
extra rule if you wanted to play.
Yeah, it gives you like extra thing, like the Infinity Stones that you can also try to get.
6 of them in front of you, you get some kind of bonus.
I guess so. Like, yeah. So I've only because I purchased it and I bought it as a Christmas gift for my friends, and we played their copy, but I don't own it, so I haven't played it more than that. But
now you've played Century before.
I've played. Oh, like
Century Spice Road.
Yeah.
So I found that this is a very similar game.
It is. It kind of feels the same, but you have that clunky pieces.
I tell you, the poker chips make a difference. So.
Yeah, because Century Spice Road did make my top 100. Splendor did.
What? Century Golem made my top 100. So
did
I don't
Splendor?
know. I don't know. Probably not, though.
There's chunky poker chips.
There are chunky poker chips, and I do like a chunky poker chip. But do I like the Golem theme more than the mining theme? I did like the fact that like all the cards are very thematic. Like they go in order. Like you're in a mine, and then you're traveling, and then you're.
I never noticed that before.
Oh, well there you go. Okay.
I'm so dazzled by the poker chips. I looked at nothing else.
There you go. Who even cares, right? but yeah, Splendor's a great game. So
yeah.
Perfect. So
that was my number 50.
Your number 50.
Splendor.
My number 49 is a game that I've played more than once, guys. And it's a little bit heavier of a game. And I've played it more than once.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it right.
I own it. Okay.
I saw it here. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Okay.
It's on that wall.
You might have 2 copies of it, 2 different versions of it. Huh. Okay, so this is a game that is maybe loosely based off of a video game that started way back in probably the 90s or even earlier. So that's starting to date myself a little bit. And this is a game called Civilization.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh, I'm not even there yet. A New Dawn.
Civilization A New Dawn is so good.
Okay, so is it different than the original?
Well, first
Without
of
going
all,
into too many details.
like compared to Civilization, like Sid Meier's Civilization,
Yeah.
Civilization A New Dawn can play in like half an hour. You're never going to get that with another Civilization game. Like, 30 minutes to an hour, you can get this one played.
Sure,
so it's a lot more streamlined. But yeah, no, it's worth having both.
Game. Yeah, okay. So Civilization New Dawn, I played it a couple times. I actually had some people over and we played it and it was great. But it has a feature in it that I love. You have this action row. And I think I had a game on earlier where you all have the same 6 actions that you can take.
Yeah.
And they're laid out in a row in front of you. Mm-hmm. And then there's a value in front of them. And it's based off of like land types as well. So like a prairie is going to be your lowest and a mountain is going to be your highest value. Yeah. And depending on where that card is sitting in that row is the action that you can take for it. So you might have like a caravan action where it's sitting in the 3rd row. So you can move your caravan through the 3rd,
like
2nd, and easiest terrains. But you can't go through mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you also have trade goods that you can spend to kind of bump your power up a little bit. And you're just trying to, there's 3 goal cards that are set out, and each of the goal cards has 2 different goals on them. Mm-hmm. And end game is triggered when you have 1 goal claimed on each of the 3 cards. And it's just like any other Civilization game where you're building up, you can go and fight each other. There's barbarians roaming. You're trying to manipulate the resources that are on the board, and you're trying to build the wonders of the world. So you can build like the Sphinx or Hanging Gardens of Babylon and all kinds of neat little things. And then you also have the option to upgrade your cards. So you might have a card that, I don't know, your caravan card lets you move 2 spaces or something like that. But you can upgrade your caravan throughout when you increase your science or your technology track. And then you get to go into your stack of cards that you have set to the side and pull out your number 2 card. And it might let you move a little bit further or give you a bonus to some kind of action. And you can trade with each other. And yeah, it was a really, really neat game.
Yeah, it's so good.
And there's asymmetric powers, like your civilization.
Because each civilization,
yeah. So the last time I played as Gandhi. So my whole thing was I don't want to fight. I get bonuses if I don't fight. So I could always move my war card down and move something else up. And everybody else's powers were totally different than mine. And it just changes the way you play a little bit.
Yeah, because you don't have to battle. You can trade.
Yeah. You don't ever have to fight. Well,
no, you don't. You can go
depends on the goal cards. I don't know what all the goal
it's true. And it depends on the number of players. Because sometimes you want to go and control a certain city, but it doesn't have to be anybody's city. It could just be a neutral city.
Yeah, and it is fairly tight. Like but I mean, I quite liked it. It was just
and great. The action thing too. Like when you activate it, it moves to the bottom, so everything shifts. So you kind of want to do the one trying to shift the one that you really want at the top, and then which is like Arc Nova. The action of Arc Nova kind of uses that same mechanism as well.
Totally, and when you use your 5, it goes down to 1. So you often want to use your 5 powered card, or I don't know if it's 5 or just mountains, but and just I don't know. It's such a clever little design. I think it was used in like a Roll for the Galaxy or Race for the Galaxy or something like that. I think maybe did it earlier. I don't know. I've never played either, but I know it's not. So let me tell you about this game I haven't played.
I've heard. So
was it from?
Well.
Or I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong, guys. It's fine.
You get the action cards. Everybody has the same action card that you can kind of activate, but it doesn't have the shifting quite.
Okay, so the shifting wasn't original to this. It came from somewhere else. Like I just can't remember.
Yeah.
What it was.
Yeah, but they do it well here for sure.
Yeah.
And then when you build your city, if you have built all around and you're completely surrounded, then you can do more with your city.
Well, it becomes fortified or something like that. So you can, because the barbarians, every round the barbarians are going to move. And they're going to destroy everything that they run across. So unless it's fortified, then they'll just damage it and it flips a token over. So you have all these tokens that you can place out to fortify your actions and fortify against your neighbors as well. Because some people are going to fly a spaceship or not a spaceship, but airplanes into your city, steal your great wonder and end up winning the game. Thanks, Keith. But
somebody's holding a grudge.
No, I'm not holding a grudge at all.
But this game is so good, and it's cool like how the board comes together. Yeah. I bought this secondhand from like people that I knew weren't really gamers, and they were having a yard sale, and then I saw like they had posted on Facebook. I'm like, I will come and get this, and then I end up getting like
all of them
box of games from them, and they had this one in there still in shrink. And then we played it and it was so good. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was so worth it.
So this is one I don't own, and I don't know that I would own it just because I don't know that I'd get it to the table.
There's that. You know, I am addicted to civilization games, so I have a lot of them. I don't get to play them, but I like them and I want them.
Because a lot of them take a lot of time.
They can take a really long time to play.
Like I know you said 30 minutes, but
like an hour, probably 32 an hour.
Yeah, I think we were about 2.5 when we played, but we played it 4 or 5 people, and we were socializing and snacking away and stuff. So but for a civilization game, this one can and will play fairly quick. Yeah, for sure.
Like Sid Meier's Civilization, I don't know how long that one would take. That one's really cool as well, because each of your thing has like the dials.
Okay.
Like I love civilization games. But yeah, in my household, I'm all by myself.
Oh. Well, I'll come out or you come in, and then I don't have to drive all the way out. You come in, bring Civilization. We'll play. Yeah. Perfect. But that's my number. Bring a lunch. Sure, bring a lunch. That's fine.
Because we'll be there for a bit.
We'll be there for a little while. That's my number 49, Civilization: A New Dawn.
Good pick. Such a good game.
Yeah.
Such a good game. All right. What is my number 49? Okay, I played this one for the first time with you.
Oh.
And
that's why it's so high on your list.
Well, despite that, I was... But this is one that after I played, I was just so impressed with this game. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I think it was me, you, and Kayla. And I don't think you and Kayla loved it as much as I did, but I was like, this game is so good. Plus, I'm pretty sure it came from like a liquidation store. So I paid almost nothing for it.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
What is it?
I think that this might be Like a steampunky kind of game?
Nope.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Well, but we did play that as well.
Okay.
I think the same day.
Oh, this is that. What was it called? Ceylon?
Ceylon, yes.
Ceylon.
So technically, the story behind this is Sri Lanka used to be called Ceylon, and they were big into the coffee export. But their coffee crop got a bad fungus or something, and it destroyed all of them. And to avoid going into economic ruins, they swapped out all of those crops for tea.
Okay.
And they are to this day the biggest tea import, I guess, country out there now.
Oh, really? Okay.
And what was really interesting with this one is if you go to the board, like, because you have the 4 different sections on the board, and you would put 3D cardboard pieces onto it, then you get the second level, and then you put a single one on top of that, and you get the third level. And depending on what level you're going to cultivate at is going to either give you black tea, green tea, or white tea. And now we all have our own colored tea leaves, and you're going to be kind of building a plantations, and then where you can kind of go and make the tea. But when you are collecting tea, you can collect tea from all the plantations that are around you, whether they are your own or not.
Yeah.
And you can kind of activate that. But then green tea. So you got to go up and get access to that upper area to be able to get the green tea in order to. But so you're collecting these teas. And then there's also going to be orders that you're trying to fulfill, and they're like little trains or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But as you build your plantation, it'll open up another contract that you can have with a company. So now I can do deals with yellow company.
Sure.
But in order to be able to also fulfill orders from the green company, I need to have freed up more spaces on my player board, so build up more tea plantations so that I can now have a second company that I do business with, and so on. And one other thing that was super cool about it is like
the card thing.
Yeah, there is no downtime in this game, because you have these cards that you can do, and the cards have 2 sides, and you decide, am I going to do this action or do I want to do this action? And be like, so you know what? I'm going to go and do this one and move up on the technology track or whatever it is. So I'm playing that. So everybody else gets to do the bottom action. Or
so clever. Yeah.
This game, when I played this, I was like, oh, it was good. Plus, you got bonus if you had built in all 4 locations. Then you got bonus if you had the majority in one location. And there was a bunch of ant scoring goals as well. And then if you kind of made a deal or kind of got in cahoots with the politician from each of the location, they gave you access to a new ability that you could activate. And you're trying to kind of get that going as well. It was just, this one, after I played, I was like, this game is so good. Yeah. It is so good. I think I paid like $9.
Oh, yeah. They had them at Bianca's.
It was ridiculously cheap. It shouldn't have been this cheap, because this game is easily worth at least $45.
This deserves to be more well thought of. Like, it was such a good game. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's another one that I kind of forgot that I'd played. But now looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I really did enjoy this. Like, I think I got smoked because I didn't understand like the movement and stuff like that, and the area control aspect of it, I think beat me up a little bit. But I would play this at a drop of a hat for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid 49 for sure, especially for $9 or whatever it was.
Oh my god, it's unreal.
Pick up a copy if you can find a used copy or even a new copy for like.
Yeah, because you would think it's like, oh geez, like it's crap, but no, oh my god, no, this game is so good.
Yeah, I've actually been really impressed with a lot of the discount stuff that they're blowing out through like Dollarama and stuff like that. Like,
honestly, all of them so far I've really enjoyed. Of course, some of them I purchased at a higher price before it came to them. But
so I've got a game that I think is in my top 10 maybe.
Nice.
That came from one of these discount
places. That's insane.
And paid like nothing for it.
Which is kind of nice though, because if you're going to be willing to go and that's one thing I like, because Princess Auto now have like bunch of deeply discounted games. Yep. The Bianca Amore has, the Dollarama.
You have to be careful with the Amores because a lot of the big names like Z-Mans and stuff like that are knockoffs. But
a lot of time but like a lot of times they've been okay anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think they have to show like there's a black line
now,
across.
Now they put a black line through all the ones that are copyrighted.
But then there's like, it's just available everywhere.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I'm glad that the hobby is spreading out as much as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And little games like this where you go to this discount place, you've never played a game before, you pick it up, you open it up, and you realize, holy, like board games aren't Monopoly anymore. Like board games are...
Yeah. My sister owned this one. She's like, okay, we need to play it because she doesn't like to learn the games. But this one was not... Like, to learn from the rule book, if you've only done Monopoly, it might be a little bit daunting, sure. But if you're having somebody who can sit down and teach it to you, or if you watch the video tutorial, it's not hard to pick up this one. But it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those video tutorial guys are just...
Yes, thank you. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I can't read rule books. I can't retain stuff. And you video guys are the only reason I'm able to still play games like this. Like, keep doing it, please. I appreciate it
serves
so much.
It has,
it helps more people than you think it does. So
that is my number 49, Ceylon. So good.
Ceylon, so good. Yeah. That was a really, really good pick. No.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming I'm going to say that for most of your top 50.
Well, we're top 50s now. Like, it's all going to be good. Yeah.
I mean, there'll be a couple that you'll be like, really?
Well, my number 47, you might be like,
okay.
We'll see.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let's try to get there. My number 48 is one of the first games that we ever bought.
Oh.
My family played it because it plays 6 players, so we could all squeeze in there and play it. And when the kids were younger, it was light enough that they could kind of understand it. They wouldn't win, but they could understand it. And I know they've made expansions and they've made prequels almost to this game. And it's a game about evolution.
Oh, yes. Evolution.
So this is Evolution, and I would throw the Flight expansion right in this with this, like whether you play with it or not, it doesn't really matter. But it's such a great little game. It doesn't take too long to play, and it's fairly easy to understand. Like you just need to make sure that your species eat and survive. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a number of cards. I think it's 3 + 1 per species board in front of you. So this little brown board at the bottom with the 2 little cubes in it, that's your species board. So every species is just a generic, boring species when it starts. Just animal. You have
blob.
Yeah, so you
muscles.
Sure, yeah. So you start with 1 body size and 1 population.
Yeah.
And you can discard cards to increase your population or increase your body size. But you can also use your cards to add traits. So you might be a fertile animal. Mm-hmm. You might have a long neck.
You
So
may
you
have
get
a
to eat
shell.
food first. You might have a shell so that predators have a harder time attacking you. You could be a predator. So what you're going to do is you're going to build up these animals, and then one of the cards out of your hand at the beginning of each round, you're going to place face down in the middle, and everybody's going to place when they flip it over, and the number on that card is how much food gets added to the middle. Mm-hmm. So you might add 5 food, or you might add -1 food.
Don't do that.
So that's a jerk move, but if you're a carnivore.
You've done that, haven't you?
Well, when I'm a carnivore, I do for sure.
But you can have multiple species on the go as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why I said you get 3 cards plus 1 per animal. So you can just discard a card to make a new species.
Yeah.
And so you're just basically building these species, building them all up, getting their body size bigger and bigger, and then everybody's a herbivore to start. And then you're eating out of the middle. And so I would start, I'm first player. My species, I get to choose 1 species to eat. So I might choose one of my herbivores to eat first, but my long neck also gets to eat 1 food before anybody else does anything.
Mm-hmm, yeah, because they can reach higher.
Yeah, and then with the Flight expansion, there's a little outcropping that has more food up there, but the land animals can't get to it. So you're just feeding your population around until all the food in the middle's gone. And then anybody who has not fed their animals up to their population size decreases their population size to how much food they ate because they didn't have enough food. And then you score the number of food that you were able to eat. You just throw it into your bag, and that's what you're doing. You're just
did you have a bag? Because we had a little screen and you put it behind your screen.
Oh, so we have bags.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a little bag with a little animal on it.
What?
But did you play normal Evolution or did you
Yes,
play the
whenever.
New Dawn? Oh yeah, you have it. Yeah, so in Evolution you have a bag. Like we have bags. I don't know what happened, Mel.
I have a mind you, the screen works perfectly fine.
Oh, for sure.
Is it? Now I'm gonna wonder.
You're gonna have to
Maybe
look in like 9 more. We'll go.
But I'm pretty sure it's a little screen that we have.
But yeah, so anyways, you put the food into the bag or behind the screen, and you just every round you're collecting it up, and then you'll score points at the end of the game based on your species. I think it's the population of your species gets you a point each, and then how much food you've eaten all together gets you a point each, and whoever has the most at the end wins.
Yeah.
And it's great because you can all have herbivores, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait, there's not going to be enough food for me, so I'm going to play this carnivore card, and I'm going to turn my gigantic herbivore into a carnivore, and he's going to go around eating all the other guys. Because when it's his turn to eat, he can choose another species and decrease their population by 1 as long as he's bigger than the species that he's eating. So, yeah, it's a clever design. It's quick to play. It's easy to learn. My kids loved it. Yeah, and they would want to play. Like the first time, I was like, okay, it's okay. Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, let's play this again. I was like, oh, okay, fine, we'll play it again. And then I played it again. I was like, oh, no, it's good.
Yeah.
And then we played it again. I was like, this is the most amazing game ever. Yeah. Look, I even have an expansion that I haven't played.
Hey, it's Flight.
But yeah, so.
No, you should just throw Flight right in the base game.
Yeah, and it's just,
it just adds a couple of cards and a new place to eat.
But yeah, no, definitely the more I play this one, the more I like this one.
Yeah, it's a fun game. It's not super deep. It's not like a crazy heavy game, but it's definitely one that, I mean,
it is kind of interesting what you're doing, and
it's fun. It's fun to like have your big species turn into a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I'm a long necked shelled animal.
Yeah,
like it's neat. Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty neat. So, but yeah, so that's my number 48, the 48 best game.
Nice in the world,
in the whole world. Evolution.
Good pick for sure. I like that one. My number 48, I played it for the first time, I think the second time I went to FalCon. And I've played it at Car Treat in the fall, I want to say. And I have since then purchased my own copy. So I now own it. But before that, I didn't.
Okay.
And this is Endeavour Age of Sail. Now, they've also kickstarted like an underwater one that's about to come out. I don't know. Kickstarted it a little while ago.
Okay.
But this one is so cool. So you're like, you have these different lands area, but you also have these boats and you're going to go across the ocean. And then as you go, like you have all the tiles there with the little tray that holds all these tiles. The production of this game, mostly for like when it was so good. This is, I think, the first time I've come across a double layered board.
Oh, okay.
And it could warp a little bit, I think, because it was like so early for it to kind of, when was it printed?
It's been around a long time.
2018, so it's not super old, but it was like, that was the first time I came across. And then, but you're kind of upgrading things differently, and then you're acquiring these different tiles that you're going to add to the bottom, and then, but they're limited, right? Like, so it was like, okay, oh no, you took the last one, so now I can't do this. Can't have this anymore. And then it has like the whole area control across the map and the board as well.
Sure.
But then you can't go into an area unless you've kind of built like so that you can go into that area. And like the whole thing, and I'm doing a terrible job explaining it because there's so much going on and I kind of forget part of it.
Yeah.
But I just remember every time I've played this, and every time I played this, I did fairly well. So maybe that helps. But it was just such a neat, satisfying. I used to think I hated area control because I hate Risk. Because my brother wouldn't let me quit Risk, and it went on for way, way too long, and I just did not like it. But I really do like some area control games, and this one definitely would have an aspect of that, because every round, like, you have what you control, and based on what you control, what you've gained that round. But that's going to change as well, because you can go and kind of take control away from other people also. So yeah, it is so good. I was finding both times I played with Michelle, and I'm assuming her copy. No, it wasn't her copy either time. But yeah, so I now own my own copy, so I can play it all by myself. with other
Nice.
people because it's a 2 to 5 players.
Well, you
So I
can
need
play
at
it all
least
by
one more
yourself if
person.
you wanted. Just get a little lazy
Yeah, yeah.
Susan.
And I'm gonna win. Guaranteed I'm gonna
There
win.
you go. There
But yeah,
you
no,
go.
it was one of those games. I really, really liked it. And after I played it the first time, I was like, I want this.
Okay.
And now, yeah.
Nice. I've seen the game a couple times. I've never seen it open before. I mean,
Doesn't it
the
look
box is
good?
intriguing. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the double layered boards. I don't know why we haven't been doing that for decades,
Right.
but
Mostly
I mean,
Terraforming Mars could have used it.
yeah, that was a big mistake to not do that right away. But they fixed that in
Yeah,
Mary's Expedition.
yeah, for sure.
So, and I know you can buy all kinds of things for it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't really know much about it, so I can't add much to it. But yeah, it looks like a solid little game,
He's good.
and I do like area control.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it's area control plus like what you're building, because you'll have like, depending on the tiles that you add to your thing, now maybe you have a higher attack or higher defense, and you know, like, so
Yeah.
it is just so good.
But I do like those tracks that you can just build up
Yeah.
and get stronger and get little, I think it looks like there's maybe bonuses when you hit certain levels
Yeah.
in the tracks. And yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
I like that stuff. I like it when you can finagle a couple, like make one turn into like kind of 3 mini turns. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It looks like something I would enjoy. So we'll get it out, maybe Melcon or your other thing eventually.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Endeavour Age of Sail. So
You're
good.
number 48.
It's a good looking.
What a pretty box.
Right. Look at that.
How I've never bought this, I don't
I-
know. I
what is
buy
wrong
stuff
with you?
just for prettiness, so
Yeah.
I would do it. Yeah, perfect. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's number 48. So now we're on to number 47,
Yes.
and my number 47 was mentioned last week, and it was mentioned while we were talking about my father's work. So
Oh.
I don't know if you can remember a whole week ago.
Yes, because I remember a week ago we filmed it.
We filmed 2 at a time. So
Yeah. So it's 20 minutes ago.
So this is a game
Yeah.
that brings me back to my childhood a little bit. I played
Really?
a bunch of point and click video games.
Oh,
like
okay, yeah.
Police Quest and stuff like that, where you go to a location, you got to look around in it, figure out your little things. And this one had a neat mechanic where they added QR codes. And this is Destinies.
So good.
Yeah, so I've only played it a couple of times. I couldn't get anybody to play it with me.
See, and same with me, like because I bought your expansions.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think you actually bought it off of me.
Yeah. So I have the base I had the base game. I
Oh,
bought
okay.
your expansion.
Yeah.
Kayla bought your base game.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And I'm hoarding it because I don't want to waste them.
Yeah, it's so good. So I've played the first scenario a couple times, and I don't want to give out spoilers and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but there's something going on and you don't really know what it is, and you have to explore the world to figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you end up getting so you have this cool player board in front of you that has slots for all your stuff, but it also has your character card. And your character card that you get is going to have 2 different possible they must be destinies because
Yeah.
it's called Destinies. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So you
Funny.
have 2 different possible destinies. So 2 things that you want to try to complete. And if you can complete one of them, then you get to go into your like special end game
Yeah.
where you like do some rolls and stuff like that to figure out if you're
Which,
if you
yeah.
have a good destiny or a bad destiny. But I think you still win regardless.
Yeah, it's just like got the main end goal, but there's 2 paths you could accomplish that
So,
with. Yeah.
and then a really, really neat thing that kind of blew my mind the first time I saw it was the way that your dice checks work. So
Mhm.
you have these stats in front of you. I can't remember what the stats are, but they're blue, green, and red.
Yeah. Like, I
Um,
think one's strength, one's agility, and
Sure.
one's, wit or something.
And then you have all these little tokens in it, and you're moving these tokens, and you want to move them to the left as much as you can so that they become easier, like they're a lower number. Because when you roll your dice, you're going to roll, and whatever number you get, any of the tokens that you pass, that's how many successes you get for it. So if you have a strength of, there's 1 in 3 and 1 in 5, like in the picture here, and you roll a 4, you only get 1 success.
Yeah.
But if you roll a 5, you'll
Then
get
you got
2
2.
successes. Or like in the bottom track here, if you were able to roll a 12, you could get 4 successes.
Mhm.
And then you have like effort dice or something like that you can also add. Like you have a pool of dice that can give you just an automatic success or a little bit of extra. So it was really just a clever little design. And then just like with the point and click back in the day, you might have a whole bunch of items in your inventory, but you don't know what to do with them. So you might run into a villager here and you might have a key and you might say, hey, I'm going to click on the villager and I'm going to click on my key or like scan it with the phone and it'll say, oh, I don't need that. That's garbage. What's even the point of having that? And then you might run across like a locked box and it just happens to fit it. And then it opens up a new thing. And it's just like a big, heavy story driven game.
It's so good.
Yeah. And like, so I don't know how it works because I've only ever played it solo. So, and it's neat because they have a strictly solo thing. So it's time based, but you don't know how many turns you have.
You got to play multiplayers. It is such a neat spin on it too.
Okay, sure. So, because in the solo, you're pushing and pushing, and you're trying to rush because you don't know how much time you have. You might only have 2 turns left, but I'm assuming in co-op that doesn't exist.
So, what's interesting with the co-op is,
or not co-op. Sorry.
Well, so that's not co-op because everybody's got their own thing, but we're all playing the same story.
Sure.
But you're all playing from a different viewpoint of that story.
Yeah.
So like based on what's happening is like, okay, well, I know this much about this and I'm trying to do this. And then they know something else and they're trying to destroy that. And then like, but it all intermingles.
Yeah.
But we all have a different goal. But depending on what our goal is, we may be needing the same thing.
Oh.
And first one of us to come across is like, well, and there might be other stuff that you could use, or then you might have to try to do the other destinies as well. Yeah. And the board, because it's all tiles. And I mean, like the tiles are very thin, but there's a huge stack of them because there's a lot of content here. And they start face down and they're kind of like...
So it's a fog of war is what it's called in video games and stuff like that, where it's all cloudy, but there's a couple little icons on it maybe.
And as you spread, then it reveals. And then with the app, because it is app driven, it's like, and then all of a sudden this guy is there. Yeah. But then it'll also be like, okay, next turn. And then, the deacon ends up coming over and he's at the church now. And things develop in the story as you.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. So, and then, so there's multiple scenarios that you can go through. And I bought 2 expansion from you to have more of those stories. Sure. And then, we got the things where it's like you come across and say, do you have a weapon? Like, because you're being attacked. Like, I have this. So you can scan that. And then that fits into the story. Yeah. Like, oh my God, I love this.
So I almost
love this.
So they just did another Kickstarter maybe a year ago. And I almost rebought the whole dang thing because I love like old, like, fairy tales and stuff like that. And they came out with Baba Yaga. And if you don't know who Baba Yaga is a witch.
Okay.
But the really distinguishing thing about Baba Yaga is her house. Her house is this old rickety shack that has chicken legs. So it's running around the forest and it's giant. And
that's
they came
hilarious.
So the miniatures in this game are true miniatures.
Yeah.
Like they are the smallest miniatures you'll ever see. So they came up with the Baba Yaga.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I almost want to buy it just so that I can say, hey Mel, let me borrow your base game so I can play this Baba Yaga scenario.
Funny. Yeah, no, and it's like I'm saying, like I don't want to. Like, I mean, you could replay the scenario again. You would kind of have a better understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, because the whole time you're going through, and until you scan about your destiny, you don't really know what you're trying to do.
Sure.
Like you get a base of like, this is what the story is. And then, but the story develops as you go. But I love this one so much. So I bought the other ones and I want to be able to have like a group that'll appreciate it as much as I do. So I'm kind of saving it for that group. So there you go.
You're one of them.
This with leaves, like with, we played another one like that. He's like, yeah, it's okay. I was like, I'm not wasting this on okay.
No, you need to love this game.
They've kickstarted one that was very similar to this, about kind of like solving crimes in
New Orleans, baby!
Yeah,
the Dark Quarter. It's coming soon. I hope.
Is it? I hope. It's got delayed, but it's another one by Lucky Duck Game that kind of has a whole feel and a whole story aspect of it. So that I've backed that up. It's paid for. I just need for it to show up.
Me too. Mine is too.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
So this is the one that I'm hoping that maybe because it's the New Orleans theme, that maybe I can sucker my wife into sitting down and playing with me because she likes all that.
Because it's more like solving.
Yeah. It's like a mystery and
mystery solving and
witch doctors and stuff like
good.
that.
It's gonna be so good. But and then because when you were playing, you would talk about my father's work, and I was saying that when I was playing my father's work, yes, it was good.
Yeah.
But I would have rather it be this.
I agree. Like I mean, I own my father's work and I don't own this just because my kids like my father's work.
Right.
So between the two, I mean, this is a much less expensive game as well.
Okay, yeah.
So, because like I think my father's work's like $150 used or something like that.
Oh,
whereas these you can pick them up for like $30 or $40.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, like
it's so good. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's a reason it's higher on my list.
The whole tray, the way that it's all organized is really well organized.
It's so slick. Like it's just a great design. I'm really, really looking forward. Like Dark Quarter, if it is half of my expectations, will be in my top 10.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be great. So
it's so good. Oh my god, I want to play games now.
No kidding. Okay, and we're only at 47. That makes me think that it's going to be really high on your list.
Wait till you see my number 47.
Okay, perfect. It's going to be this, isn't it?
Nope.
Okay. Anyways, that's my number 47, Destinies.
So good. Yeah. My number 47 is really, I got to attribute it to the fact that I'm an Acadian. And this is a game that my entire family, and then I have a large family. My mom's from a family of 12. My dad's from a family of 9. I have over 40 cousins. We will all play this all the time at a drop of a hat. Always. It's just part of who we are.
And how many of you can play it at once?
We could play up to 6.
6. Okay. I'm just
most of the time we would play it 2. You could do 3. You could play teams then and go 4 or 6.
Okay. I don't know what it is.
It's cribbage.
Oh,
crib.
There you go.
At one point, I have a crib board there, and then I have a crib board there, and I have probably 50 decks of cards. Yeah. And this one is just so good. It is just so good. It's super simple, really, in the grand scheme of things. They got crib tournaments going around all the time. I entered one here last summer.
Okay.
I got slaughtered. Sure. I was the youngest one there by far, and it just wiped the floor with me. Yeah. I attended one in Disbury and won a crib tournament once.
There you go.
So, but it's so simple. So you get 6 cards in a 2-player game, and you have to pick 4 to keep. 2 will go into the crib, and you take turn being the one who's going to receive the crib. And that's just going to give you an extra hand that you can score. And with your hand, you can score any card that has a combination of 15. That's going to give you 2 points. If you have a run, each card in the run is going to give you points for each card in the run. If you have pair, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, that's going to give you points as well. And then you can get combination of all of that you can utilize them in other things as well. So that's in a run, and then it's also does 15, and it's also, so.
Yeah. Well, and then you also score as you're playing down your cards.
Yes.
So you're going to play a card, and if you...
It's like, okay, I play a 10. Well, then I'm going to play a 15 too, and I peg 2. But then I can also score 15-2 in my hand as well if I have it in my own hand. Yeah. And then afterwards, discard that. Oh, it's my crib, so I'm going to count the crib as well. Oh, look at that. You give me a 5. Well, that's great because I gave myself 2 10s. So... Yeah. Oh my God!
You can score some real points, like even during the play. Like if I play a 2, you play a 2, then I play another 2.
Now you get 6.
Get 2 points for the pair, but I get 6 points for 3 of a kind.
And then turns out I had another 2. So
and it's like,
it is good. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think most of us who are in the gaming hobby have played a ton of crib over the years. Now, I guess I kind of I excluded games like crib and chess and backgammon and hearts. Like I love hearts, and a game, I don't know if I can say it, something your neighbor. It's a bad word, your neighbor. We used to play it. It's just one of those games where it's a trick taking game. And
honestly, I guess a deck of card, because we play so many cards, Queen of Spades, there's so many games you can play with. And then I have that frustration rummy that has actually got a board for it now. That I would put that all into this.
Yeah, like just a classic card game. But this is
the cream of the crop of card games.
Everybody's dad played this. Everybody's mom played this.
This is like I think the game that brought family together as a kind of end of day tradition that just brought everybody together so well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. And you like, I mean, I just know, so I lost my dad and my grandma just recently, and it was nice because during the COVID lockdown and stuff like that, they were both like, they were always together. They spent so much time together, but they couldn't during that. So they just figured out and they played crib for like an hour and a half over Zoom.
Nice.
Every single day. And before that, like everybody would come into grandma's house and they would play crib, and she had this little jar that kept getting bigger and bigger because every time she won, you had to pay a quarter because it was quarter ante or whatever. So she had this big jar of quarters. And
nice.
It was just, I remember like as a small child, well, maybe not small, but like 12 or something like that, she was trying to get me into it. And I was like, okay, this is okay. And the best hand you can score is a 29 hand.
Yeah.
And I scored a 29 hand. I don't think it was legitimate though, because I'd gone to the bathroom right before my grandma had dealt the cards, came back out, she dealt the cards out, and I just happened to have a 29.
You up?
She totally set me up. But you know what? For the longest time, I was like, I got a 29 and you never have.
You know, my dad's aunt got a 29 and she's like, oh my God, Noelle, look. And then she's telling everybody, like, you liar. You did it.
Yeah.
She's like, you're like my witness.
Totally. But yeah, I mean, it's such a classic game.
Yeah.
And like, even like, I mean, when I first met my wife and I played, because my father-in-law played a lot. So like the first day I'd ever gone to his house, I think, he's like, play some crib with me. And I double skunked him. The first time we ever played. And I was like, well, he's going to kill me. He's not letting me date his daughter. There's no way. So, but
you probably kind of earned his respect just for that alone.
maybe.
All right.
So, but yeah, I mean, crib is so classic. Like it could, if I'd included games like this on my list, it would be top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, crib blows most of these, in my mind, most of these big fancy games away.
Yeah, I'll have a crib board. Like I went through a stage where I was so into the board game that we didn't play this as much.
Sure.
But I, just recently went back home. So of course we played crib.
Yeah.
My grandma passed away this fall, so I have her crib board.
Oh, nice.
So it just has, it's such a great game, but it's all like the heritage behind it.
For sure.
Like that.
Yeah. Like, is it an amazing game? I don't know. But it's a solid game for sure. Yeah. And it has so much historical nostalgia. That's what I'm looking for. No, so much nostalgia that, like I don't know that I would ever say no to a game of crib.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, that's an amazing, probably worth being even higher than 47.
Probably,
realistically. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, on mine, it would be a top 10 game, I think, if I'd included them. So yeah, so number 47, Cribbage.
Yeah.
Just outstanding choice.
Oh, and this is just this, because there's two pictures. They're not really like a crib box. Have you played Cross Crib, though?
No.
Cross Crib is really interesting, and it's taking cribbage and turns it into a board game, because you have the board and you're playing cards, but you're playing on the same board. But my hands are this way, your hands are the opposite way. So I'm trying to set my hands and wreck your hands. And then, because we're playing off the same cards, so I'm like trying to, it's an interesting kind of more gamey version of crib.
Sure.
Kind of add a neat spin to it. And I suck at it, because if you concentrate on doing your own hand, they're going to mess you up, and then they kind of been sabotaged. But if you concentrate on being sabotaged, you're not setting up your hand like it's interesting. Yeah. But cribbage or cross crib.
So solid.
So good.
Okay. So now back to like not so good games after crib. Man, pulls out like an ace right there. Okay, so my number 46 is a game that I've already had another version of this on my list.
Huh.
And I was really tempted to not put each individual version on it.
Okay.
But it changes just enough that I feel like they're separate games. So the last game that I had was a Star Wars IP. This one is a Lord of the Rings IP.
Okay.
So this is a dungeon crawl called Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle Earth.
Nice.
So it's more or less the same game as Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's just a dungeon crawl. This one pushes you a little bit more. Now it's app driven, so it helps you kind of run the bad guys. So you can play as a co-op, which is great. My family likes the Lord of the Rings theme a little bit better than the Star Wars theme, I guess.
Yeah.
So this one we've been able to get to the table, and my wife will come sit down with us, and we're playing through 4 players and lots of different expansions. And you can even buy like for $4 or something like that on the app, you can get expansions, and it reads like you enter in what you have.
Yeah, I like when apps will do that.
Yeah, and then so it'll pull stuff from different boxes to kind of mix the scenarios up, and you're just traveling through fighting orcs and running away from Nazgul, and I know they made so one of the complaints that a lot of people had with this one was that it really pushed you. And in Lord of the Rings, the movies and the book, it's like, let's explore the world. Whereas this one really forced you down a path. So they made an easy version of it for the app that you can set up. So you have a little bit more time to explore and do all the different things. Because there's caverns that'll be there, and you just don't have time to go explore the cavern. But you really want to. And the game wants you to, because then it'll sidetrack you so you'll lose. But yeah, it's just a great little game. Yeah, it's just a dungeon crawl. Like there's no.
It does have like a whole different look than Imperial Assault.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like I don't even know really what else to say. Like you just get all your items, you roll dice, you move, you get to explore different spots. Like there's these little icons on the board that'll, if you get to it, you can trigger. Like you just click on the app and say, "Oh, I'm checking out this thing." And it might be a little hobbit who's on the side of the road throwing rocks into the water because he's sad because he lost some jewelry or something.
Oh, so like a strong story I went to.
Yeah, nice. And they kind of bend it around. And then it's one of those ones where, unlike, so in Imperial Assault, you were a generic Star Wars character and you might run into some of the heroes. Right. In this one, you get to actually be the heroes. Nice. And maybe that's what pushed this one ahead for me too. Yeah. Is in Star Wars, I wanted to be Chewbacca, but I didn't have that opportunity. Whereas in this one, I can be Gimli. You can embrace that. Nice. Yeah. And it's great. And they brought in with because we have all the expansions. I don't know that they're making any more. I think it's done now. But they brought in like all the different the hobbits, and there's so many different characters you can play that are almost, if you watch the movies, you wouldn't even know half of them. And yeah, it's just great. And you'll run into different wizards, and yeah, just a clever little design, and nice. Just not much else to say, but yeah, it's great. My number 46, Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle Earth. Nice. Yeah, not your type of game, I don't think. Eh?
Well, you know what? Like I like the dungeon crawls. I have a few. I'm enjoying them. It's just it wasn't one that I could get to the table as easily, so I didn't get to explore those all that much. The problem with the whole Lord of the Rings series is I try to read The Hobbit and a stupid song in the book. And I'm like, what, this is stupid, and I quit. So, and I haven't really, and then I'm so into fantasy. So you think I have to give this whole IP a try again. Because I have tried watching the movie and I fell asleep.
So when I was younger, I tried reading through the books a couple times. Yeah. And that first book, I just never made it past the 11th birthday, because it's like, a quarter of the book is his birthday party. It got kind of ridiculous. It's just like, okay, but
you know what? I'm not going to. And that's probably hindered my whole interest in the Lord of the Rings series at all. Right?
And if you haven't watched the movies, at least to kind of draw in, I could see why you'd be indifferent.
I mean, I have Imperial Assault. We haven't played it tons, but it was cool, and I liked the like. I have Fallout. That's kind of like
Is it a similar thing? I've never played the Fallout.
Yeah, so it's kind of another one where you're going across the map and you discover different things, and then you uncover the story. So I like that.
Sure.
So kind of listen to this like...
Yeah, you might like the Lord of the Rings one more. Like if you just throw the audiobook on or something. That's what I ended up doing because I couldn't read through
I'll try the movies again.
Do it. Yeah, give it a shot. Like, I mean, they were well made, and I mean,
Yeah.
this doesn't follow the movies, but it's adjacent to it, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like continuing adventures.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Nice.
It's great. Yeah.
My number 46 is a really cutesy farming economic game. It's called Happy Pigs.
I was gonna say, is it the pig one?
Yes.
Okay.
This one, I don't know. I think I bought it just because I go, okay, cute, Happy Pigs. Sure. We'll give that a try. But it turned out to be so much better than I ever anticipated.
Really, because I would have never thought.
Right? And it's kind of funny because the pigs have a set price, pretty much. Once in a while, you'll have a card be like, oh, actually, pigs are worth more. But then if you're going to buy pigs, they're worth more. But if you sell pigs, they're worth more. So if you're going to buy a pig and sell the pig, you would never really make a dent. You wouldn't get anything because the value don't really change all that much.
Okay.
But you can buy a piglet, feed it, and plump it up so it becomes a nice big pig.
Okay.
Then you can sell it then. And then you can also breed your pigs and get other pigs. But then they all have to fit in the space you have associated with them. So if you run out of room, you're going to need to go and buy more enclosures to be able to hold more pigs. And then
Okay.
if they're not vaccinated by the time winter comes along, they're going to die. So you got to vaccinate your pigs. And then you flip them over to the side where they have a little Band-Aid on it.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? Like
All right. Yeah.
it is super cutesy. I kind of bought them because the kids were big into Minecraft, and it was like the square.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Like it's like,
that
oh,
kind of
you know,
look.
like that thing kind of appeals.
Yeah.
I did buy an expansion that adds chickens and ducks and sheeps.
And are they square too?
They're all square as well, and they have a little vaccinated side or not. And but and you just go through so many, like 3 years. So you have spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then you
Sure.
kind of recycle. And then each one, but what's so interesting with this too is like you'll see on the card there's so many actions available. So you'll flip over and be like, okay, so there's 6 feed action, there's 7 breed action, there's 9 purchase action or 8 purchase action, and there's 9 sell action. Then you have your action token, and you're gonna like, I'm gonna do this, and then we all reveal.
Oh, so it's like a blind bidding type of deal.
Almost. So then
Okay.
everybody like, hey, well, I'm breeding. Oh, everybody's breeding. So now 4 of us is dividing 7
so you get
breeding.
2 breeding each.
Right?
Oh,
Like, so you're
okay,
trying to be
sure.
like, okay, he can't breed because he's full. He needs to go buy. So I'm going to breed now.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, so there's kind of that because
Sure.
if the more is like, okay, I really need to feed my pig. So I'm going to do the feed. Well, now I only get to feed 2. Or is that, okay, great, I could feed 5, but I only own 2 pigs. So whatever, they're wasted, but
Oh, okay. So because you do have to have a pair to be able to breed with it.
well, to breed, no. So to breed, you can breed just a single pig. You kind of just bring in a thing,
Oh, okay.
you know, like
Okay.
so you
Sure.
don't have to have a pair to breed per se, unless it's in part of one of the card bonus. Because every
Sure.
time you flip a card, there'll be like a little something special going on.
But nature
And-
finds a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it is so like to look at it, it looks like a cutesy little kid game.
Yeah.
But it is involved, you know,
Okay.
like, so there's a lot to consider because you want to get, and you don't want to just sell everything because now you have no pigs to breed. And like, it's a neat balance.
Sure.
I like it. I really like this
Okay.
one.
Yeah. You know what? I would have never, ever, ever picked this box up.
No.
But I would probably still never own it. But you know what? I would give it a shot if it was out on a convention table and
No, Happy Pigs.
and
so
Mel
good.
was sitting there like,
He would
somebody
play
come
Happy
play, somebody come play. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. No, it looks cute. So I think there's a little frozen penguin there too. I've been staring
Yeah,
at.
the
Sorry guys,
winter.
I'm looking down there.
So, yeah. So
penguin
it's funny.
frozen.
No, this is such a neat little game.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just kind of like an economic game that's been on a cute theme
Sure.
put on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. So that's your number 46.
That is my number 46. Happy Pigs.
Happy pigs, unhappy farmer. Perfect. Okay, so my number 45.
Hmm.
You should ask me if I want to tell you about my number 45.
Why don't you tell me about your number 45?
No thanks.
Oh.
So my number 45 is no thanks.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a game that we bought just as a traveling game.
Mm-hmm.
because again, there's 6 of us, and it plays 6 fairly well.
Yeah, well, 3 to 7.
And it's super simple. Like it says ages 8 to adult. And I think that's only because they're worried 7-year-olds are going to eat the chips. But anybody, you could.
Choking hazard.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, a lot of games are like that, though. But in No Thanks, what happens is you start with a handful of little chips. And you're going to keep it secret and not let anybody know. Unless you have a whole bunch of them, you might just want to be like, hey, look, I'm flaunting it. But what's going to happen is a card's going to get flipped. And you guys are going to either on your turn, you'll take it and put it in your tableau. Yeah. And it'll be points. And you don't want points. Points are negative. So, or you can put one of your little chips on it. And then it's Mel's turn. Yeah. And Mel can either take that card and the chip, or she can put another chip on it. Yeah. And you just keep going around until somebody finally takes that.
And eventually it'll be attractive because there's a lot of chips there.
For sure. Yeah. And then the next card gets flipped over and the next person goes. Or actually, I think it's the person who takes the card starts. And you just play around. And the way, like the neat thing about it is you can stack your cards. So if you have a run, so let's say like here we've got 18, 19, 20 in the picture, it's only going to score 18 points. Yeah. Because it's the lowest of the run. Now, if the 19 wasn't there, it'd be 38 points for those 2 cards. So sometimes you might want to take those really high, like 35 value cards, because if you have 33 and 35, nobody's going to take the 34. So when it gets to putting chips on it, yeah, I might want to take it right away to fill the gap there.
But you might just put a chip and get people to...
I'm going to put a chip on it.
Yeah, you will.
And then when it comes back around to me, I'm going to put another chip on it. And I'm going to see how many chips I can get before I can squeeze that
and
card.
And sometimes you'd be like, oh, you have a 33 and a 34. You know what? I'm just taking it.
Yeah, just maliciously.
Enjoy all those points. You're self-sabotaging to a certain point.
Totally.
As well. But it's kind of like, yeah, well.
Yeah, and then at the end, once you've gone through the whole deck, so the deck runs like 1 to 35 or something like that. Yeah. You take out 3 or 4 cards just so you don't know what or random, 7 cards.
Yeah, so
just so there's a little bit of you don't have perfect information on what's available in the deck. And then once the deck's run out, you just add up your points, you subtract any of the tokens that you have from it, and that's your score. Yeah. And that's it. You can sit down, takes 20 minutes here, but like 10, 15 minutes, like I think 20 minutes at 6 players is what we were doing. So it was perfect. We'd order food at a restaurant, we'd whip this out. Yeah. Have a round, and by the time we're done, our food's there. This
is such an amazing little filler game.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's a fun little push your luck.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's just great. And I love the press your luck, like I could take it, but I don't want it because you guys are all going to give me more chips, and I'm going to score 6 more points, and you guys are suckers.
And then sometimes it's like your turn's like, I really don't want this card, but I have no chips, so you have no choice.
Well, and that's the thing is if you don't have chips in front of you, you have to take that card. Yeah, you have no choice. So you don't want to. Yeah, cripple yourself too much, but and
this is a copy I have.
Okay, so
and they all have a bunch of little flavor, funny sayings on the side.
Okay.
Like I was reading, it's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Like it'll be like, ooh, 30, that's too much. You better pass on. It's like a bunch of different, and each card has like 4 different the flavor text on this version. So good.
So I have the previous version to this one, I think. This is the newest one, I think. And so ours are just like little plastic poker chips. They're not these like
Yeah, these are like little rounded
like those stones, like the crafting stones or whatever.
They're cool.
Okay, well maybe I'll have to give mine away and buy a new copy. So, but it's so good. I love this game so much. I mean, for a little tiny, not much to it card game to make my top 50. I mean,
yeah, it's a good one.
It's great. I love it so much. So that's number 45.
No thanks.
Are you sure?
No thanks.
Okay.
My number 45 is another one that when I came across it the first time I played, I was like, that is so clever. Like the whole mechanism theme that they put on it, I just really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's a deck building dungeon crawl.
Oh, okay.
And it's Clank.
Clank.
Yeah. And what was really interesting is some of the cards you have in your hand is like, okay, I'm going to run. But because you're running, you can move further but you're not being very careful, so you're making noise, so you clank as well. And you add a clank token into the pile. And eventually those clank tokens are going to go into the bag, which has a bunch of black ones. Those are like the dragons one.
Yep.
And those are fine. If they come out, nobody's hurt. But if the colored tokens come out and it's your color, you took a point of damage. Because you were so noisy, the dragon attacked you because it could locate you because you're clanking around in the dungeon. And you're going around trying to get some artifacts, and the dragon is protecting them. So if you take them, she gets angrier and angrier, and then more clank tokens come out at a time.
Yep.
But you're trying to grab some artifacts, and then you're trying to get out. But the good stuff is deep down.
Yeah.
So you're trying to go all the way deep down and then make it out. Now I'm going to include Clank Catacomb, which I probably enjoy more.
So I agree. So Clank would not make my top 150, but Clank Catacombs is like right in there.
Yeah. I've never played Clank in Space.
Okay.
And from what I understand with that one, it just because one of the things that could happen with this one, somebody would come in, grab a tiny little thing, and get out, and everybody gets stuck in the dungeon.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't like about it. That's why we got rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and also with this one, it could get samey because the setup is always the same.
Yeah.
Where Catacomb changes that completely because you have different tiles that comes out. Now with the Catacomb too is like sometimes there's one path, and you gotta explore more to be able to come and make your way back around to get out. So it does kind of include that really neat aspect. And it'd be like, well, get out. It's like, I don't have an artifact. It's like, go get it. I didn't come across one. It's like, so it does kind of create a randomness that I really enjoy that kind of changes it up the game quite a bit for me. I still enjoy this one. I enjoy Clank Catacomb a little bit more. I'm just going to put them all as one.
Sure.
This one is great. Probably the easiest one to get to right now. Like just mostly since Clank Catacomb, you'll see Clank probably in the secondhand market more.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I know I
just poo-pooed all over it.
Poo-pooed it a little bit, but it is good. Like, and you can always house rule it and say like, listen, if you have this, or this artifact, you can't just run back up. Just the rule.
Yeah, exactly. And then honestly, every time I have played it, I haven't come across that. We don't play like that. We get greedy and want the good stuff.
For sure.
So that hasn't been an issue. But it was more like a friend of mine, her daughter, that's what she would do all the time, right?
Strategic things, yeah.
Yeah, which is like, just don't break the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, but otherwise, and then with and that's just because you still have like the whole deck building thing because you can attack. You'll have monsters that comes up that you'll be able to try to attack and get things. And then you have different artifacts that'll come up that'll give you special abilities or be worth extra points. And then you got the tomes you're trying to collect because it's all about collecting points.
Yeah.
The artifacts are worth points, but so are some of the cards you're going to collect. The monsters that you kill is going to give you gold and all that's going to be worth. It's good.
Yeah. And I do feel like if you had one person who just ran right down to the bottom or right to the top, grabbed it and ran back up, if you could, because you don't have to make it all the way out to the edge.
You just got to get above ground.
You have to get above ground.
Yeah.
Because if you get above ground, you still die or
you're hurt, but the villagers will come and save you.
The villagers save you and drag you up there. So you don't get the points for making it to the end, but you might be able to collect enough stuff just to
and you got some good stuff.
Yeah. So it's good. So now I know I got rid of this because I bought Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated.
I hear good things about that.
I did not play it.
You didn't play it?
No.
See, my issue with this, I hear great things, but it's campaign.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you don't like it, but I've heard so many people say that it's their favorite campaign game of all time.
I hear,
and especially if so, they Acquisitions Incorporated is like one of those online real play D&D kind of situations where you just watch people play D&D, but they're very charismatic and they make the story good. So they took a whole bunch of the theming from them. So like weapons that they would have made throughout their story were in there. So I think had it been, and I don't know anything about Acquisitions Incorporated, I didn't really pay attention to it. Had it been like the Adventure Zone or something like that, which is just another web series that my son and I paid attention to, had they thrown that theme on it, I probably would have gotten him to play it with me and been able to. But yeah, I regret getting rid of it, but I don't, because I don't know that I ever would have actually been able to play through it. But it's one that, if you like Clank, if you like, just do it. Just buy it, play through it, because everybody I've ever heard who played through it said it's their favorite legacy.
I really love the idea of it. You know what? I need to retire and just not work, so I can just game all the time and then go through all the campaigns.
So here's my thought: is in like a decade or so, when I start getting close to retirement age, I'm going to invest in an old folks home.
And then it's just going to be like all board games.
And I'm going to kick all the people who aren't board gamers out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a board gamers only.
Yeah.
And have like big gaming tables. I think, you know what? I think it's going to work.
Honestly, like, and they do that in the States often, where they have like similar interest group housing type of thing. Like, right. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Totally.
Yeah. It's going to happen. Get some Rathskiller tables in there, and maybe a couple game toppers for the extra ones, and we'll be good. But yeah, Clank's great. It's a good game for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's your number.
My number 45.
Clank, a deck building adventure. Okay, so now we're on to number 44.
Yes.
And my number 44 could have fit into your Pirates game list.
Oh, nice.
You couldn't get a game, but you probably wouldn't have played it because it's like a campaign-ish game. I think you can. I think you can solo scenario stuff. Like I'm pretty sure you can just play solo scenarios. But
okay, and I like that. Well, if you do like, let's do this. I don't like that it have to be one to build on the next one, so you could do the next one, and then wait, we forget everything. Let's start over. Like
for sure, yeah. So and this is one that it's a John D. Clare.
Okay, yeah.
So you know that name, probably. Yeah. It's a card crafting system.
Okay, I like that.
And actually, if you can't remember what it is, you literally sent me 2 pictures like
that one,
an hour ago saying,
it's this one. And I searched for it, and there's 2 games that comes up completely different.
I didn't realize it, but this is Dead Reckoning.
Yes.
So Dead Reckoning is one of the big Kickstarters that I backed, and it's a card crafting system. So
nice.
If you don't know, if you've never played Mystic Vale or Edge of Darkness, they were prequels to this one. This was just so solid. Now, I've never played Mystic Vale myself.
It looks good.
But what this is you're a pirate crew. And you have a crew of cards. So I think it's 8 cards. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, maybe 10. Oh, yeah, I guess it'd be 10 because you draw 5. That makes sense. But those are the only 5 or the only 10 cards you're ever going to have. You're not going to get more cards. But what you're going to do is you'll have a captain and a first mate and a couple bosuns and some crew and a quartermaster. And they all have like little powers that they can do. And you're going to draw your 5 cards like you would in any other deck building game. And you're going to play your cards to do different things. So you might set your sails so you can move your ship around the board. So you've got this board that's, what is it? It's a 4x4 or 4x3 grid. And they're all going to be fog of war again. So they're going to be face down with just some mist above it. And you can travel to those tiles, flip them over and see what's there. And there might be islands that you want to control for resources and end game scoring. And you can also travel to get like different kinds of rewards and stuff like that. So what you're going to do is you'll play your cards and you'll maybe upgrade your ship a little bit and give it an extra sail or a cargo hold or some cannons so that you can fight. And then at the end of your turn, every single turn, no matter what you did, you get to upgrade a card.
Nice.
So you take one of your cards out and they're all, so your crew card will say crew on the top, and then, or the card itself, you'll pull it out and you'll just flip it around to level 2. And now you're a little bit stronger on one of your 5 cards. Now, each of the sea spaces that you go to, also, if you ever go through there, there'll be a card on each, so a clear card. And it might be an upgrade that you can buy at that island. So it might give you an extra cargo that you can add. So you can spend a couple of your resources to just set this card to the side. Mm-hmm. And then when you're done your 5 cards that you've played, any of those ones that you bought, you have to sleeve them into one of those cards that you use. Now you can save a card, but it's into the ones that you use. Mm-hmm. So they just get more and more powerful every single time you use them. And then keep in mind that you get to flip them over again. And there's 4 levels for each base card and then all the extras. So you can get one card that's just, it comes out and you do everything. You just like it's just so strong.
But it's campaign, you said, right?
So you can play it campaign. You don't have to. I played it a couple times with the family as just a one and done.
Yeah.
It ran a little long for them because it is a longer game because there's a lot to it.
It looks cool.
And one of the neat things that I really liked about it is in combat, you don't just like, I'm going to shoot you once. Now you're going to shoot me once. Or I have 3 values, so you have 3 values, so I win. What it is you take your total number of cannons between your ships. So you might have a gunner who has like 5 cannons. Mm-hmm. And he might have a special power saying redrop a cube, which I'll explain in a second. And then you might have 3 cannons on your ship. So you might get 8 cubes. So you take 8 of your cubes and you're going to drop them in. And you can just see it on the edge of the picture there. There's that little kind of watery area just to the left. There's actually a ship that's attached to it. It's this 3D ship that's a dice tower. Mm-hmm. So you're going to take all of your cubes and all of the enemy cubes at the same time, and you drop them in there. And where they end up in that little watery area is what happens. So if you get a crown, it's a success. If you get an explosion, you do a damage to the other guy's ship. And a certain number of damage, and they have to go back to port. You might find some cargo or some coins in the water. Or there's probably there's a couple of cards that can let you move them from one to another. There's one in the middle that counts as a damage. I think, it just lets you pick up that cube, grab another cube, and drop it. So it's like just an exploding cube. So you get 2 extra cubes. And it's just, I don't know, it's just great to draw. I love dropping a lot of stuff in a little tower and have a whole bunch of stuff happen. And
I'm impressed with this.
Yeah, it's such a good design. And the campaign was nice because it lets you upgrade. Like it was a special edition. So instead of just crew, you might have John Williams. And he just might be a little bit better at something. And you can add story cards to the story deck. So you might find like a ghost ship. Mm-hmm. And you might rescue somebody off the ghost ship and they become a crew who's a ghost crew who just hangs out. Like it was such a solid design. And you're just basically trying to, there's 8 or 10 different things up at the top, goals up at the top that you're just trying, just like in Scythe, where you're trying to win a battle or get a crew to level 4 or get different goals. And that's how the end game activates. And then you score points based on how much control you have on islands. So the little cubes on the islands there, whoever has the most cubes will score the most points. Second most will score the second most. And you just go through and you score points for your cards that you have, like you de-sleeve everything. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, even without the points, like who cares about the points? It's just fun to build a pirate ship and build your crew. And
does your cards reset every time, or you kind of go through campaign and they kind of build
the campaign?
Right.
So what happens is you can add these new crew members.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. But all the normal cards just go back in. Oh, so you just start with your level 1, but instead of crew, he's John Williams. Or Or your captain. Okay. Instead of your captain, you might have Dennis Reamer. He'll be your captain.
Because that's one of my thing with the campaign is to do a campaign game, you need the same players at the same game at the same time again and again and again to go through the process of the campaign. But like with me, is like I'll have different players all the time, different. Like, so it changes that. That's where I like the scenario base, because it doesn't matter. I was like, no worries, it doesn't build up from the previous one. We could just do this as us playing this one.
Totally. And to be fair, I don't know if it's a multiplayer campaign. Right. It might just be a solo player campaign. Like I played it solo.
But yeah, like, because otherwise I want this game. It looks so good.
It's pick it up at a convention and play it for sure. It's
nice.
Good. Yeah. So that's my number 44, Dead Reckoning.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It makes me want to play some of the other like Mystic Vales and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, Mystic Vale, I love it. I have Custom Hero, which is another card crafting one. That's kind of neat. Canvas has like that style as well. It's just fun to play with games that way, right?
Perfect.
Okay, what's neat too with the Custom Hero completely, it's not, I don't think it's on my top 100, but is because you're building up these cards, but then they all get shuffled and redealt. So you might be building up a card that's going to be somebody else's card later on.
They do that
right?
in Mystic Vale too, right? Isn't that a thing?
No, with Mystic Vale, you keep your own
you
cards.
do? Okay.
But with this one, is like you're battling, but then you're kind of reshuffling and redealing, and then it goes to potentially other players. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, I like that. That's neat.
My number 44 is quite a bit smaller than your number 44. It's a 2-player only game.
Oh.
Onitama.
Oh, good game.
It's so good. It is so good. And this is one that when we do like gaming events, like Falcon would do gaming events, and I would volunteer for them to just do like introduce general public to a game and to kind of like, you should give board game a try. This one is one to do that with. It is super easy to teach somebody how to play, and it is instant, satisfying. I have not met somebody who says, oh my God, Onitama is horrible. I don't think those people exist.
Yeah.
It's just so neat. So you have red versus blue. You have your characters. You have your master and the 4 apprentice next to it. Yeah. And the goal is to either capture the other player's master or get your master into their temple, and that will win you the game. Now, this is very chess-like, where your characters can move in a different way, but instead of like this character moves this way, it's you have the card that'll tell you how this characters will move. So here with the boar, your black space is where your character is going to be, and you can put that on any of your characters, and then it can either go one in front or one on either side, and that's what that action is. So it'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to move over here, and then when you activate that action, because there's only ever 5 cards in play. There's a lot of cards, so it just changes up every time. So there's 5 cards in play. Then you swap out with the one that's in the middle, and now you have these 2 actions you'll be able to activate. And then that person, the other person will do their action, then they'll switch out, and then they'll have the boar with them. So there's always going to be a rotation between these 5 actions. Yeah. And if you ever land on top of another character, then if it's the apprentice out of the game. If it's the other player master, you win. Like, it's super simple. Yeah. But, oh my God, it's so good. It is so good, so satisfying. You have this neoprene mat that you roll out. Yeah. It's like a tiny little, it's good.
And the little pieces are pretty chunky.
Nice chunky pieces.
It's such an amazing level of production. For this little box, and I mean it sits on top of my display. Like we have one, my family loves it. We have the app, we play this. I mean it's endless, and I know that they made at least 2 expansions, and I don't know what all is in it, but I think it's just more cards to give you more
cards. I think some can give you other, but honestly, the base game is perfect as it is. You don't need more. You could get more if you really wanted to, but it's just a perfect game as it is.
So this is one that whenever I see it on the used market, I buy it and I give it away to somebody.
Oh, because it's such a neat entry level.
It's so great. Like I think we gave one to the kids' school. And
that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's so.
You don't see it on the secondhand market that often.
No, because I buy them all.
And people tend to keep it because it is a good one.
It is. It's so good. Like this is one that, again, like anybody who's ever played chess or checkers or anything, like you can bring this and play it with your great grandpa.
Yeah,
he would get the general gist of how it works, and it's so good. And every game is just a little bit different, just enough to keep you, and you can win by the way of the stone or the way of the water. And
it's
just it's such a good pick, such a good.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God, we're getting into such good stuff now. Yeah.
It's great. I love board games so much.
Right. Honestly.
Okay. Perfect. So that was your number.
That was my number 44. Onitama.
That's great. Okay, so my number 43 is a game that you might have to help me explain a little bit.
I hope I played it.
And I think we had asked a while ago in the comments to start picking sides a little bit.
Oh, is this one of the side picking?
And the only person I saw pick a side was somebody, I don't know if I know them, but they're Susan Michelle 957.
I saw that when I saw this on your list. I was like, she's gonna cross
like,
to somebody
she's like,
else's
oh,
side.
I have to be on Mel's team now because you have this game on your list. But Susan
It's
Michelle,
on his list, and
whoever
it's
you
higher.
are, it's higher on my list. That's my number 43, Meadow. So again, I've only played it once. I played it here, and it just. Oh no, I played it at my place. Ashley brought it.
Oh, okay, yeah, nice.
And it was so just different from the way that I've played other games. And like again, I don't know if I even remember all the details. I just loved it. Like it was one of those games where you're collecting your cards and you're building up. And you're using those cards to be able to get other cards, but you have to cover them, so you're going to lose. And I think there's set collection involved, and like, oh, it's so good. And I'm sure you guys are all following along, and you're not starting at number 43. So Mel went over it in great detail, and I tried to shut my mouth and not talk about it, just thinking it's higher on my list. But yeah, it's so good, and I love how like the seasons kind of change.
And the whole selection of the card, that is so interesting.
Oh, yeah, how you place like your little token and then you choose your card out of that row and somebody might block you, so you have to get it from this side and you're just hoping that somebody doesn't play their card. Yeah, it's just such a good little game. Try it. And
pretty.
Try it. It's so pretty, so pretty. Like I think you're just going for a stroll in the meadow is the theme of the game, and you're going to see all the little animals and yeah, I mean, again, like I don't remember all of it. It's drafting set collection, but I've only played it the once, but
you love it when you play a game that one time and it's like has such an impact that it's like,
I can't get it out of my head. Like when I was making the list with this pub meeple and doing all these comparisons, I'm like, well, I've only played it once, but I really, really want to play it more than I want to play this game. Yeah, and I really, really want to play it more than this game. Yeah. So like there's very few games now, I think, on my list that I've only played once. But it goes to speak for the game of how good it is. And after one play. After one play, and I'm sure I got stomped in it because I usually lose the first time I play a game by a lot. So and I'm a competitive player. And if I lose a game and I want to play again right away and I want to own this game, like every time I see it come up, I try to grab it, but it's gone before I get there because it takes me 15 minutes to see the used market, and 9 people have already said, I'll take it. So one of these days I'm going to get a copy, or I'm just going to steal Mel's if she's got one. But man, I do own it, Oh, it's so good. And I mean, it's on both of our top 100s. Yeah. So it's a good game. Take that for what it is, Susan Michelle. Number 1. But yeah, that's my number 43. Oh, man. So am I going to keep my one follower? Nope. Come on. Actually, so you're going to have her. It's fine. But my number 43 is Meadow. Please play it with me sometime. So we have a crossover. And number 43 for me is another crossover. What? It's your game that you put on the list even though you didn't like your play of it. Oh, this is my number 100. Your number 100. Which, after playing it this last weekend... Did you play it again? I did. Bernie brought it out to Cartoon, and it is no longer in my top 100. Really? I didn't care for it. Well, it's my number 43, and that's 5 Tribes. Bernie must have taught you wrong. Bernie, what did you do? You know, we played it late at night, and I just... Yeah, it was well, okay. And you know what? Because it is a thinky game. It is a thinky game. And my brain's not that thinky, so. Yeah, so you gotta, but it's kind of so interesting because first you're gonna bid on play order. Yeah. Right? Like, so you're kind of going to work on that. With the 2-player, if you're playing 2-player, you get 2 of the icon. If you're more, then you have 1 each. And you're going to bid on that. And then you start, and then the board has a bunch of little meeples, I guess, on each of the location. But it's a Mancala type mechanism. So you select a location, you pick all of the meeples that are there, and you're going to move them to a new location, dropping 1 at each location you cross path. And then where you land needs to have a meeple of the same color. And then you activate the location where you land. So tons to consider because first you have all the meeple. Which one do you want to drop where to activate what? Which path are you going to go? What are you going to drop where? And then, well, should I do this location or do this location?
there's a lot to consider. So if you're going to play this, play with somebody who is decisive, because otherwise this is going to drag and it'd be way too long.
Yeah, this can suffer from AP.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
I think if you're like worst AP game, this would be my number one for. If there's a game you would play
and I think maybe my problem is I'm too anti.
Right, you don't have patience for that.
I don't have the patience. I'm like, I want something white, so I'll grab the white one and go there. Oh, I just set everybody else up for 200 points.
Yeah.
And I scored 4.
Yeah.
So it's probably a me problem. Like, I mean, still, even after playing it, and I didn't have a bad experience. Like, it would still be in my top 150 or something like that. But, I mean, and maybe a couple plays and figuring out the strategy and stuff like that would help me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it is still, like, even now I'm, like, intrigued. And I'm like, well, maybe I do want to own it. Maybe I think I've just wanted it so long that.
Well, it's funny because I bought this one on reputation alone.
Sure.
Like I didn't know how it played. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's a Mancala." I said, "I don't know what that meant."
Oh.
So it didn't describe anything about this game for me. But reputation was good. I was like, I think I want this game. And then one Christmas, one of the store, actually the one in Three Hills here, had it on sale. I'm like, okay, I'm buying. I didn't even make it there. They dropped by and then picked up whatever I had asked for, and then I brought it home. But I mean, like the tiles are different all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The where the meeples are different all the time. And then be like, okay, well, there's nobody there, so we won't be able to act. But now all of a sudden it changes.
Yeah.
And the way that the game evolves as you play it, I love this game.
Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah, and I think that was my problem. Is it just evolved too much? There was too much going on, maybe for me to.
And I'm not as competitive. I play for the joy of playing. If I win, I win. If I don't win, I don't win, and it doesn't affect how much I enjoy a gameplay. Yeah. And also if you're playing with me and Lee playing together, we're similar in that way. Then we're just kind of like it's just good.
It's a fun experience, a fun voyage for sure. And I did really like the set collection aspect of it. I kind of had forgot about the set collection aspect when we spoke about it, but and I mean, it's I need to give it another shot because man, darn 5 tribes.
Play it at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Totally, yeah. Instead of 11:00 at night.
Yeah,
after playing games for like 12 hours straight or 16 hours straight or whatever it is. Yeah, for sure. It shouldn't be the last game of the night. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Great pick. And they're so. I almost picked up a copy the other day, and it had like 5 expansions or something like that, or 4 expansions or something like. There's so much to add to the game, and I'm curious to see what some of it would do. Like, I know you would never play them.
I wouldn't. I'm pleased enough with the base game that will be, and then the price aspect of it.
Yeah, it is an expensive used game. It's an expensive base game because meeples are expensive.
Yeah, so it would be like what, a $50 game, maybe I would say.
Oh, I think it's like $75 new.
Okay, so if it's a $75 game, an expansion would be
$30-$40 probably.
Okay, and the gameplay of it, does it really worth being $100 game, $150 game? It's a good game, but it's still not $150 game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Like I think the reason that I've never really pulled the trigger on buying it is because everybody wants retail or higher for it, and I just
because it's been so hard to get.
Yeah, until they did the reprint recently, and like because I think it's readily available now. But I think you're still paying $75 plus shipping or something like that, or $85 at a.
I can't remember. Yeah, because I remember it was on sale. So I'm like, jump on it, and then
So, but it is good. And Bernie, you didn't misteach it. And to be honest, the guy who taught me 7 years ago probably didn't misteach it. I just didn't pick it up. It was probably a me thing. So, but yeah, no, great pick.
It's not you. It's Travis.
It's not you. It's me. That's what I've been telling my wife forever. It's me, sweetheart.
Number 43, 5 tribes.
5 tribes. Okay, so now we're on to number 42.
Nice.
42 is a crossover.
Oh.
And it might even be a crossover in this segment. If not, it was really, 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 really late.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
it was this
previous.
segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's flip your page over for a second. I want to find out. Sorry, guys. Hang on one second. It is a crossover in this segment.
Huh?
So this is Splendor.
Mm-hmm.
I love Splendor. I love golems way more than I love gemming, but man, those chips. I love poker
Right?
chips. I love
Poker
the
chips
it's the
have
poker
its
chips.
fine.
Like they're the same game, basically.
It's very similar,
Give or take,
yeah.
But oh man, and maybe it's because I played this with the family a whole bunch, and like I think our chips are starting to wear out. We played it so much. Like it's just great. And I mean, we already talked about it in this segment, so there's not a lot else to say, but I mean, yeah, I love the collection of it. I love the choice of like, I can take 2 of this chip, and you can do the little bit of hate drafting thing too. Like I can see, Mel's going to get that like 9-point card or that 7-point card, but I can just take a gold and reserve that card for myself.
That is mean. Yes, that happens.
And maybe never intending on even using it, just to kind of block the other person.
But then the gold is wild. That's useful.
It is a wild, for sure. It is useful to get. And then, I mean, it's neat too. I like the something that this game has that the Golem edition of Century doesn't have, is it has those nobles at the top.
Yes.
Of the board. So once you collect a certain number of blue gem cards and green gem cards, there might be somebody up top that when you have 4 blue and 4 green, you score the 2 points for this person. So it's kind of a race to get there.
Yeah.
And that person becomes one of your point values.
Yeah.
So your last turn or two, you can score so many points, because if you have your gems set up just perfect, you can like buy 1 card that brings you up to a certain number of these people. So you also get the person, you score like 8 points in a turn, and you play into like 20 or something like that. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's such a well-designed game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most people have played this or have at least heard of it.
If not, go get it now and buy it, because you need this game. This would be a staple. Collection staple.
For sure. And this is great. Like I talked about how like there was the big 3, like the Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride, Catan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people got our generation of gamers into it.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the one that's going to get the next generation to be like, oh, this Splendor game, I've heard about it. Let's give it a try. Oh, it was simple enough that I could understand it, but it's meaty enough that there's a game in there that really develops it. And it's easy enough. Like, I mean, so good. And I haven't played any of the expansions. Like I know there's like the Cities of Splendor that brings in like 4 little modular
Did you play Splendor Duel?
I didn't. No. Okay, yeah. I don't see the point of it, because this plays so well at 2.
Splendor Duel kind of does an interesting spin to it, for sure. I still like Splendor. Like I wouldn't ever get rid of Splendor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got Splendor Duel, never playing Splendor again. Not that at all. And it's different enough that to me doesn't.
Okay. If it's different enough to warrant keeping it in the collection, but like this one's good because I can play this with my wife. She's happy to play this.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would try to introduce like a second.
Yeah. No, you probably need to.
But yeah, I mean, buy Splendor. Just do it.
Yep.
Perfect. That's my number 42, Splendor.
Nice. My number 42 is one of those Dollarama deals. Now, I bought my copy not at a Dollarama deal. I bought it secondhand for, I think it was $30-$40, and I thought I was thrilled, and it's completely worth that anyways, because it's that good of a game. It is Downforce. Yeah, so good. I bought so many copies and I gifted it to like everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like you need to own this game because it is so good. And my family, we're big into the racing game. My boys are motocross racers, so it's just kind of like that was an easy theme that just appealed to them. And it's a card game. And on the cards, you'll have, we could go in, but on the cards, you'll have the different colors. And then in the top So the top one also always have like a bigger value to it. And then you would move that one first that many spaces. And then the next one and the next one and the next one. So you start off by bidding on these cars. And then some of these cars are going to be your own cars. You own them. So you kind of want them to win because you get prizes for that.
For sure.
But you will also be bidding on the cars. And you can bid on the other cars if yours sucks.
Well, you're going
to go bid on the ones that's in the lead, right? But it can change.
Yep.
And the track gets narrow, and then all of a sudden you get stuck in the corner, and they're like, okay, great. So blue can move by 5, but he's stuck behind black, so it's not moving at all.
Yeah.
And then that's when you're going to be playing those, and well, I'm not blue cars, so I don't care. Here, I just wasted. Like, it is like the whole different nuances that they have going on with this is so neat. It's so interactive with the other players, with the bidding, and because every time you'll play a car, you don't play just for yourself. You move all of the different cars, or some of them. So the game changes quickly, and everybody's involved. And even though it's not your turn, you're involved with what's happening on the board, so you're really engaged. It's so good.
Yeah,
and it plays quick.
For sure.
20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Great. Like, this is just one that will appeal to a great variety of people.
Oh, for sure.
And it's so easy to get to the table and playing, and it's just so good.
Yeah. So we bought a whole bunch of so they were run through Dollarama, but they were Target exclusives or something like that. So they printed off a trillion copies of them, couldn't sell them, offloaded them to Dollarama. So they're literally like, we opened up here. I think we opened up the big box.
Because we were comparing side by side. They're the same game, really.
The board's the same.
The board's the exact same.
The cars are the exact same.
They were a slightly different size.
So
you wouldn't have been able to shuffle the cards together.
Oh, the cards, yes.
The cards.
So the cards, and the cards
Oh, the cards, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so the cards in the Target Dollarama one are a little bit thinner. And
slightly
smaller, and they weren't printed as, like, they didn't use as much ink on it, but the special ability cards were a little bit more family friendly, I would say, in the Dollarama, a little bit more take that in the main one. But aside from that, it was the same game.
Game.
Like, I bet you I gave away 15 copies of this.
Oh, wow. I probably gave away about 5.
Yeah. So, and everybody they gave them to, they've played through all they've been like, how do we get more pads? Okay, we'll go online and you'll have to print them off, or you can order them. But I mean, they all love it. Everybody seems to love this game. So
yeah, with a game like that, get a laminator.
Yeah, for sure. This is one that would definitely laminate it, so you can use dry erase, or even just use a piece of paper, really.
Right, honestly, but
yeah, and it's just a great game, and
so good.
Yeah, so good, especially for like I wouldn't hesitate. Like, I know they were $5 at Dollarama, but I wouldn't hesitate to pay like $10 for a used copy of it.
I paid $30 and I was thrilled.
Yeah, well, I mean, even for the Dollarama version, I'd be happy.
Oh, well, because honestly. Well, honestly, I would have paid $30 for the Dollarama and I would have been thrilled.
Yeah.
Had I not known somebody had it for $5, but
no, for sure.
The quality is there.
Yeah.
It is a high quality game.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that it was at $5 at Dollarama. I can't get, and I'm not complaining. And I love what it's doing for the hobby. It makes this so readily available to everybody and discover how great this is.
For sure. Yeah. There's so many. Yeah, it's just so good. So that's your number.
My number 42, Downforce.
Downforce. Great game. Okay, well, we've come to the end of the line. Installment. So my number 41 is one of my earliest games that I backed through crowdfunding. It's a 2-player only game.
Okay.
And it's by Tim Fowers, who did... what did he do? Did he do Paperback and those ones, I think. Anyways, I won't...
Because Paperback's... Oh, yeah. Tim Fowers right there.
Yeah, so I won't lead you guys on a big chase.
Yeah.
This one's... Oh. It's The Fugitive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've never played this one.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No.
So this is great. The first time I played this, I just was trading board games with a guy. And we just thought, oh, well, I got half an hour. You have half an hour. Let's play a game. So we sat down. I don't remember your name. I know you were a teacher in Calgary. It was But
You're a great guy.
Yeah, we met a couple times and we played this game a couple times. And it was great. It was just.
I wonder. I bet you I know who that is. But
you might. But yeah,
close.
If you're watching this and you played Fugitive with a guy at like a McDonald's like 9 years ago or whatever it is, give me a shout. Let's play another game. But in this, what it is one of you is just like the classic movie Fugitive. One of you is the fugitive. One of you is the marshal. So what it is you've got these 3 different decks of cards in front of you, like communal decks, and they're all numbered 1 through 42. So 42 is the victory card. So the fugitive is going to start with number 1 and number 42 in their hand.
Okay.
And then the marshal is going to start with nothing, I think. And what you can do is on your turn, you're going to draw 2 cards, and then the fugitive is going to play 1. And the idea is that the marshal on their turn is going to draw a couple of cards as well. And they have this little pad that shows all the numbers 1 to 42. So they can mark off what they know. So they might draw a couple of cards from the 1 to 40 or from the 1 to 14 pile. And they might be like, oh, you start with 1 to 3 and 42. Sorry. And then what's going to happen is the marshal is going to use those cards to deduce where you couldn't possibly be. And the goal for the marshal is to reveal all of the fugitive's hideouts. So every card that the fugitive is played face down, the marshal needs to get face up to win. So it could last, like it could be a really quick game, but I've never had one go under 10. And then the goal of the fugitive is to get all the way to number 42. If you get to number 42 and the marshal hasn't found all your hideouts, you're going to win the game. So the way it works, to make it kind of interesting, is you can only ever play a card 3 higher than your previous hideout. So if my hideout was number 4, I can only play 7. But I can also discard additional cards because on the front of the card, there's a footprint or 2 footprints. So I can take 2 cards that might have 3 footprints, play them face down underneath the card that I'm playing.
So it allows it to go a little further?
So it could let me go 6 spaces. And then, but I might play like 2 cards underneath it and only go 1 space.
All right.
To try to trick the marshal.
Into.
And then the marshal on his turn, well, on either player's turn, you can draw from whichever piles you want because the piles get higher in value. So the marshal could just be like, you know what? I'm just going to pull from the highest pile every time to limit the number of cards that you have there. So if he can deduce what the lower cards are, he can catch you because you don't have many options at the end because he's already drawn all those cards. But yeah, it's such a clever design. And there's cards that you can add in that add events and stuff like that. So if I'm a much better player than, say, my child, I can add in a bunch of events that help whatever side
so
he's
kind of
playing
evens
to even it out the play.
Right.
Just because it's such a clever little design. And then at the end, if you escape, the marshal can have one last ditch effort. And if they can guess every single face down card in order, then they catch you.
Nice.
But yeah, it's such a clever design. It's so solid. And,
it's one that's been on, I've heard described, so it's on my wish list.
Yeah, I love it so much. Like,
if I come across it, I'm not going to be like, oh, I want to try it. I'm buying it.
Just buy it. Yeah. Well, and it's small too. It's basically like a deck of cards and some extras. So it's not a crazy expensive. Now, its shelf appearance isn't great.
No, the box is stupid looking.
It's just a briefcase. So you put it up on your shelf and you don't know what game it is. There's no name on it or anything like that. Yeah. But I love it. It's cute. It's like got the magnetic closing box.
All of those, like
and it's just, I don't know. It's wonderful. It brings back such good memories. And it's one of those games that I've played with like random strangers.
Like the teacher from Calgary.
There you go. And my buddy, we played at camping and stuff like that. It's I don't know. It's such a clever little design, and I think it's the only Tim Flowers game that I've actually played.
Nice.
I love
like because paperback I have it, but I haven't played that one either, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear great things. That's another one I bought on Reputation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've owned it twice on Reputation. I just sold it because I
haven't got to. Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, that's my number 41. If you ever get a chance to sit down with a random stranger in a McDonald's,
this is a game to do.
41 Fugitive.
Nice. My number 41 is another game that I would say is a staple game. This was a game, like, and I got into the hobby. It was like one of those games that was just like, whoa, Wow. And now I'm not big into expansion, but I own this game in almost every variation that it was available in. I don't. There's way more out there that I want still, but it's one of those I was like, yep. And I just love it. Do you want to try, I guess?
I want to try.
Okay.
I'm going to guess, is it a 2-player game?
It could play with 2 players, but it's not limited at 2. No.
Okay. Is it Dominion?
No.
Okay.
No. All right.
Oh, yeah. I guess I can push a button. What is it?
It's Pandemic.
Oh
my God. I love this game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love this game.
Yeah, that's a new, for sure. That's one of the new main games, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I played, I was playing it with my brother, and then he's like, "Okay, well, we're co-op." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Okay, so go do something." And I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's like, give me some guidance. And he's like, "Yeah, but it's your turn. I don't want to tell you what to do because then that's not fun if we play like that."
Yeah.
It's like, but it is co-op. You can discuss this with each other. Plus, I was in pharmacy for like 20 years career. So like the theme wise, and actually one time I remember a pharmacist friend of mine came over. I was like, we're going to play this. And being pharmacy, we're going to do so great. We're going to win. And we lost in 2 rounds. I was like, okay, let's do this over. It's unreal. But it is, oh my God, this game is good. Plus like the angst that it'll create. Like it's impressive that you will get this in a board game, but if you show it, so there are 4 diseases that are spreading across the world, and I couldn't find a newer version. This is not the version I have, and I was like, whatever, because I was putting this together just as you were walking through the door. So I'm like, whatever, this one. But you have cards that will have different locations, and you need to have 5 of them in order to be able to cure. But in order to be able to do that, you need to be at the center, the science center, to kind of submit this cure. But you also might not all have it. Like one person has to have all 5 of them in order to be able to do that. So you'll need to connect with other people somewhere on the map in order to be able to exchange that card.
But you can't just meet randomly.
You have to be on the location
of that card
in order to trade it. Now you can also spend cards to move to that location, but then now you spent it. You can't use it towards a cure. You can also spend a card if you're at a location. I'm in Atlanta and I spend the Atlanta card. I can travel anywhere, but then you spent that card too, and it's gone. And somewhere in those pile of cards, there's going to be pandemic or. Is it epidemic cards that's going to come out?
Which are the worst.
They suck. So it's just like shit's hitting the fan. It's going, like things are going bad. And then honestly, having COVID happened after this, like it made me want to play this even more because it feels so much more realer now too as well, right? But so. And then if the pandemic or the epidemic card comes out, then because every round after your turn, you have to flip over 2 location cards from the top. And those are getting more disease cubes on them. Now, it's okay to go in the discard pile. It doesn't matter until you get the epidemic. Then you take the bottom of those, you add 3 disease to that location, then you shuffle all the discarded and they go back on top. So all of those top cards there have already been exposed to disease. So if you haven't been working hard enough to clear out the disease off of because you've been concentrating trying to trade cards, then you're in trouble. And now it goes up in the kind of anxiety tracker. It's not what it's called, but it's what it causes. And you might end up having to flip 3 cards now instead of just the 2. And then you flip those 3 locations and you add disease to those locations. If a location ever has 3 disease and 1 more gets added to it, then it creates a pandemic an outbreak, and it just explodes. And every city that is located to it gets one of those disease. Now, to win the game, you need to find all 4 cures. And then you win the game. To lose the game, you can...
I love that.
So if you run out of one disease cube, you've lost a game.
Yeah.
If your deck runs out, you've lost a game. If you go up on the outbreaks,
you lose the game.
too much, you've lost a game. Like it's
This
easy to lose a game. This game will beat you up and will create such anxiety, beautiful, glorious, anxiety that it just makes this whole experience so enjoyable. Now, so I have Pandemic, I have Pandemic The Cure, I have Pandemic Rapid Response, I have Pandemic Cthulhu, I have Pandemic Hot Zone.
Yeah.
There's Pandemic Rising Tide that I don't own, that I want it. Fall of Rome. Like, oh my God.
There's so much Pandemic out there. And
they're all so good.
Well, it's neat too, because like all the different thematic ones, they're the same game.
Yeah.
But they're just different enough. There's enough to change it. Like they even made a World of Warcraft one.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just you're going around fighting monsters, but it's basically the same thing. And
because I remember Rising Tides, because it's about flooding, and you're trying to put sandbags, trying to control the flood so that it doesn't erode away too much. And that when they were releasing it, just as they were having really bad flooding in the U.S.
They seem to time this stuff somehow.
How do you know?
And Iberia, I've heard that Iberia is maybe the best out of the
I hear that about Iberia, because then it's harder to get across a map, because it's earlier in the setting and you need to create the routes in order to be able to make it there.
Yeah.
So you have kind of different challenges. The Cure is with dice.
Sure.
And it was so good. And Rapid Response is with dice, but real time, which kind of, make this anxiety-inducing game unreal time, because it wasn't inducing enough before. But I love all of them. I love all of them.
So Pandemic is not on my list, but there's a reason for that. So I'm not going to get into that yet. But my first experience with Pandemic was interesting. I went to the Century Box, which is a big store in Calgary, and it was on International Tabletop Day when Will Wheaton was still doing his tabletop thing.
Yes.
And I was walking by, and one of the guys just in a lab coat grabs me and says, "Hey, have you ever played Pandemic?" Nope.
In the lab coat, I love it.
Yeah. And he's like, "Well, do you want to play?" So this is Pete, Board Game Bash of Light. He was hosting the game. He's like, "Well, do you want to play?" I'm like, "Well, I can." He's like, "Well, I got a guy here who needs a partner," because it was playing Pandemic Survival. So it was this thing that is it Z-Man? I think it's Z-Man, right? Decided to do was this big tournament and turn it into a tournament. So you sit across the table from somebody and you're all paired up, and there's a whole bunch of different game boards and they're all set up exactly the same. But the deck of cards that comes out is a communal one.
Oh.
So they flip over so the same thing hits everybody at the same time, but depending on how you play through it.
So who outplays the other?
Oh,
wow.
And so myself and this guy, Ken, who had never had any interaction with the guy, barely spoke to him during the game. We won the thing.
Oh, of course.
And it turns out it was a qualifier for like a regional qualifier. So unfortunately, my partner didn't want to go to the Canadian qualifiers. And I sent a message to the guys and said, "Hey, I'd love to go if anybody needs a partner." And they're like, "Unfortunately, we're full. But at Gen Con 2016, I think it was, there's a person who doesn't have a partner. Now it's the American qualifiers, but because you qualified in Canada, we'll let you join it."
Okay.
So I traveled down to Gen Con, not knowing anybody, to play in this regional
with this person you don't know?
Yeah, with a person I'd never met. I met the guy like 5 minutes before we sat down to play, and we got killed.
Nice.
Lost so bad. But the really, really neat thing is Matt Leacock, the creator of the game, was there watching.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I snuck up to the guy who was hosting the game. I'm like, "Hey, so I'm going to steal my roll card and I'm going to get Matt Leacock to sign it. Is that okay? Because I hope it is, because I'm doing it anyways." So I stole my card and I got Matt Leacock to sign it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and I had a copy of the game because I'd won it at the initial tournament. And so that's sitting in there. And yeah, it was such a great experience. And like with this tournament, I think the winners of because we were playing a regional and then there was going to be a world's tournament in Essen. And the winner of it it was like a 14-day trip. All expenses paid.
Oh, wow.
Trip to anywhere on the Pandemic board. So you could go to Johannesburg or...
That's cool.
Oh, it was such a neat experience. And a buddy of mine is a huge Pandemic fan as well, Chris, and we play it often. And
it's so good.
But yeah, so Base Pandemic didn't make my list, but there will be something a little bit later on. That one of
Fortunately, there's a lot out there.
Yeah,
that has
one of the
same,
expansions might be in there a little bit later.
Yeah.
One of the other versions. So.
Nice.
But yeah, Pandemic's such a solid game, and it is one of those like it's going to be the new Ticket to Ride Catan Carcassonne, and it's one of the first co-op games that most people ever play. Like nobody even thinks about a co-op game.
No, I honestly until I got into that was like co-op.
Yeah.
We played together.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So, and it's just, I don't know. It's such a solid design, and it's such a spiteful, hateful design. I think Matt Leacock hates all of us because he's put so much of us through torture.
It's amazing. It's just an amazing game.
Good. So good.
Yeah. Love it.
But yeah, so that is a great way to end.
With the number 50 to 41.
Again, with number 41.
Yeah. Pandemic. So good. Oh my God. So you know what? Like we've been doing a few now.
Yeah.
But every time we finish one of these, it's like, I want to play. I want to play.
Yeah, totally. Like, so many good games now. So many good games.
Jeez. Yeah.
I mean, well, they better be. They're our top 40.
To get game cravings, we'll be like, okay, I'm like craving Pandemic now. Or like I'm craving. I get games cravings.
For sure. Yeah. I've got a couple of new games that are sitting on my shelf that I'm like, I've only played it once and I want to play it so many more times.
I have 3 arriving on Friday. Because Lee's an enabler. He's in Edmonton this week. He's like, okay, so what am I grabbing for you? I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm in Edmonton. Are you not going to take advantage and have some games come back?
So did you shop at that little
Palmetto Way.
Yeah.
I decided, I was like, you know what? I was going to look a second. I was like, no, I'm going to support Palmetto Way. And because then they're amazing. They're amazing. But then they're delivering it to Lee's hotel.
Oh, nice.
And then Lee brings it home. And then you be like, there's a fee for doing that. But that is so convenient. So I got 3 games coming. Viscount of the West Kingdom.
Okay, yeah, Viscounts, yeah.
Viscount, okay, yeah. I have First Rat coming. And Farmer's Market.
Farmer's Market. Okay.
Yeah, actually, on the flip side of board game, they were just playing JT and Sam and Jesse were just playing First Rat.
Oh, okay.
So I was like,
maybe I'll have to watch and see how
I was like, this one's coming on Friday. And they're like, of course it is, Melanie.
Yeah, that's the way it always goes. But and I mean, I'd never even heard of the store, and then Kayla gifted us like a little gift card. And
no, so now, are amazing.
I haven't bought anything yet, but I'm hoping that they'll be at what's the Edmonton one? Gobfest?
Gobfest. Normally they are. So
and if they're not, I'll just leave and go to their store and buy a whole bunch of stuff there. I've already gone through their catalog.
And like it was one intersection over. Like they were right there.
They're really close.
Because we kept playing games at Gobfest, and then one of us would run over and grab games and buy it. So we'd like play, purchase, come back, play some more. Oh wait, purchase, come back. It was convenient.
Yeah. I think that little tiny gift card Kayla gave me is going to cost me a lot of money.
Oh yes, but
which is okay.
It's nice. Yeah.
I appreciate it. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, be sure to check out Palmetto Way because they're completely worth it and a great little store in
online
the
retailer
area.
too, I'm sure.
Yeah. And if you live in Edmonton, they will, for a small fee, deliver to you in Edmonton. So take advantage of that for sure.
For sure.
And then be sure to tune in next week for number 40 to 31.
Oh man, we're getting
I'm getting so excited just with the games we're covering that I might not be able to. The excitement is just building up too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna burst. Well, they're all such wonderful games. These are man, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. So
all right, well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Guys. Bye.